governors make you a minority. Another election, another bust. Go vote for that liar. It's a must. We were given the greatest gift of all. Decided to give it up and watch the fall. Yeah, it's just a clown world. We're living in a clown world. Join us in the clown world. It's easy to see that the joke's on you and the joke's on me.
Yeah, the joke's on us, guys. The joke's on us here on this Monday, July 13th, 2026 transmission of the Owen Report. No new wars, guys. No new wars. You're home for a political play-by-play. The Owen Report with you here for the next 3 hours. Right out of the gates. Yeah, we were extra late today. All DMT's fault. Just going to go ahead and throw that out there. All DMT's fault today. So just for any of the hecklers coming into the chat, let them know. Blame DMT. We were ready to go on time. He blew it. Now, no new wars. This has become such a ridiculous circle of logic. And I get these messages now. They came in all day long. They're, hey, what's going on? What's going on with this war? What's going on in the Middle East? What's going on? Because nothing makes sense. None of it makes sense. And if you take it at face value, it makes even less sense. Well, we'll tell you what's going on. And if you want to get an idea of how ridiculous it is, I'm listening to the news headlines today, and they'll have different people that read, depending on where you're at. Most news headline reporters or networks will refresh every 15 minutes. Some do 30, some do an hour, but it's a constant stream. And they'll have a different person reading you the headlines every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, every hour, whatever it is. And today, specifically, you'd have one person reading headlines saying, the Strait of Hormuz is closed because of the war. And then the next reporter, Trump has opened the Strait of Hormuz. Nobody even knows what's going on. I don't know if we really know what's going on. The real question now is who's playing who here? Obviously, we're getting played. The people are getting played. Are we getting played by Trump? Are we getting played by Iran? Are we getting played by both? No new wars. And the Trump administration is obviously eyeing boots on the ground. That's obviously the agenda. They don't have the support. They're trying to merge us with the Israeli military now to make sure that no matter what happens politically in the next 2, 3, 4 election cycles, that no matter what, Israel will always get the support it needs from us. This is the least sovereign our country has probably ever been in our lives. Considering for the Biden administration, we opened the borders. The number of people living in America on welfare is almost 100 million. You heard that right. Almost 100 million. So you're not sovereign when you're forced to pay welfare for the entire world to move here. You're not sovereign when you have to pay for a foreign military and a foreign country's interests. We don't have a sovereign country, folks. And the big lie is Trump is this America first, patriot, common sense president. He sold you guys out. It's ridiculous. Stop playing yourselves. Don't even be mad at it. It's so old hat now. It just is what it is. And it's crazy that you're sitting here watching President Trump sell out the country unlike anything you've ever seen, and you're pretending that he's saving it. You're pretending he's conserving anything. You're pretending like anything has changed in D.C. If anything, it's worse than ever. And I can't believe that people are going along for this ride. But hey, we got more bread and circus. It almost feels like they're just giving us one last show before they just destroy the whole thing. Hey, we got the We got the Grand Prix 250 coming to Washington, D.C. Sounds great. Sounds like a lot of fun, guys. The Pentagon just told Trump they have no money. Trump's like, hey, we got to do a war with Iran. We got to get boots on the ground. Pentagon says, hey, we're broke. We don't have any money. What are you talking about? That's nice. So what, are we going to have to pay more taxes? How are we going to work this deal out? How are we going to work this deal out? So we got all of that. Oh, yeah, Lindsey Graham, no longer with us. Very odd set of circumstances surrounding the death of Lindsey Graham. And then on top of that, as all of this is going down, and then on top of that, Mitch McConnell supposedly releases this photo showing that he's healthy. He's alive. Proof of life, Mitch McConnell, and he's with his wife. When did she come back? Last we heard, Elaine Chao, she was gone. She was in China. She wasn't coming back. Now she's back, and they're sharing photos with her and Mitch McConnell. And he's got a picture of the paper there in his hands, but there's a problem. The paper looks like it's AI generated. Now, who knows? We've entered this age now, and you're going to start seeing this, whether it's a high-profile case like what's going on with Tyler Robinson. I have a little bit of that in the stack today. Or whether it's a issue like Mitch McConnell disappearing, and then they just share this photo and they say, oh, see, he's alive. Everybody's going to think everything is AI now. And how can you blame them? How can you blame them? How can you not wonder in the year 2026, imagine what it's going to be like in 2 years. No, smart people now have to look at every image or video and wonder if it's AI. It is now kind of a first step process. Okay, is this video even real, or is it AI? Is this image even real, or is it AI generated? I don't know. I don't know if the image of Mitch McConnell is real or AI generated. I think we all have our suspicions. But that's the new trend. Nobody's going to trust anything now because anything and everything could be AI. What's the solution to that? What is the solution to that? I don't know. Get rid of AI, I guess. What are you going to do? Make AI generated videos and photos illegal? Do you have to put some watermark, some brand on there if you're going to do it? You know, X kind of has a disclosure. If you produce AI videos and images, you put a little thing made by AI. What do you think? Image of Mitch McConnell real or not? And yes, I'm not going down this path. And I don't think we're quite there yet as far as AI videos and images in a courtroom. I don't think we're experiencing that in the Tyler Robinson case. I'm suspicious of that, but I think the videos are real. I think what we've seen is real. Now they were using AI enhancement with some of the original images, so that can cause some confusion, and it has. But, you know, people are going to be suspect of everything being AI now, and there's other reasons to be suspect with that case. Now, I will say, just to leap forward here and try to get to the show since we started a little later than normal, I was waiting for that bug. It looks like DMT finally got the bug up. We're going into a new theme here, guys. The summer theme, Vice City theme is now the Owen Report theme as we move forward here into the summer. So I was waiting for that bug. We were having issues with it. It looks like he finally got it up. And we'll get some merchandise, some apparel for that brand too. The video, the big controversy at the end of last week, as they're closing the hearing to figure out whether the judge believes they have probable cause to try this case. I'd be surprised if the judge said not. The judge did say he wants till September. That's a little interesting. I know that the Kirk family, including Erica, are pressuring the judge. They want to get this thing done as soon as possible. So people look at that with, I guess, suspicion. Like, hey, let's get it done. We don't like the controversy coming out online. Either way, I think the judge is going to wait till September to determine probable cause. But the big controversy on Friday was they showed the video that I'm guessing, I can only assume because there's so much debate about it, the video that I've been demanding the entire time, which is the video of Tyler getting onto the roof and getting into the position and taking the shot. Now, that's been my whole stance this entire time. And anybody that's listened to my show knows I have been consistent on that. I said, I'm withholding anything until I see that video. They have that video. They need to produce that video, and then I'll move on from there. Now, have we seen this video or not? I don't know. Now, I did find a video. I cannot get a clarification on whether or not this is the video that they were shown in court or not. You can only assume. But I will show the video that I think they saw, or we can reasonably pontificate on the video they saw on Friday. Now, here's the problem, and this is going to be interesting from the judge's perspective. The prosecution is going to have to present the case, and they already have done so in as much as they can, producing evidence that the individual that they have been tracking and tracing all around the campus, going to the roof, taking the shot, jumping off, is Tyler Robinson. Now, the issue that the public has at this time is they can't really produce anything that shows it's really Tyler Robinson. Everything is blurry. Everything is from far away, grainy, whatever, surveillance footage. You can get into conspiracy theories as to why we can't get a clear image or not, but that's kind of the case. Now, they may have enough as far as other data connected to Tyler Robinson that connects him to these movements, and that's the argument that they're trying to make. But as far as visual or video evidence saying, yep, 100% that's Tyler, nobody has seen that yet. Nobody's really seen that. Nobody's really heard of that. And so they play this image, and the narrative on Friday is we just saw HD footage zoomed in of him taking the shot. Now, again, what footage is this? It's hard to say. Everyone else that was there, except one reporter, says that it was clearly zoomed in footage and you could tell it was Tyler Robinson. And then there's one reporter who says that's not the truth. What we saw was the same security footage, just of him climbing on the roof. So I did the timestamps yesterday. So basically that's probably somewhere from, what is it, like 12:20 p.m. to about 12:24 p.m. That's going to be the timestamp on this video. That's what we were missing. And then at 12:24, you see him running across the roof, jumping off. My time may be off a minute or two, but you get the point. So it seems like that's the video. But if that's the video, if that is the video, as it's been indicated by the one other journalist in the room, where is the clear HD footage that you know for sure it's Tyler Robinson? And so this is what's causing the outcry. I'm gonna look at that briefly today. Otherwise, you're waiting until September for the judge to get back into the courtroom and determine what they want to do. All right, lot coming up here. I still got a lot of other things in the stack today that I didn't even talk about. But let's get ready to get in today's show. Brought to you by our friends at Allegiance Gold. You know, people are reaching out to me now. They're talking about the economy. They're asking about the economy, stock market, U.S. dollar. What do you want to do? Stock market down today. It's volatile. So what are people thinking? They're thinking about gold. They're thinking about silver. That's what they're thinking about. You might be thinking the same thing. And if you are, you need to give a call to my friends at Allegiance Gold. Give them a call. The call is free. 844-790-9191. Why call them? If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, any curiosities, they're here to answer your questions first. They want to make sure that you have fully understood and are confident in the decisions you're going to make with your wealth. The call is free, 844-790-9191. While you've got them on the phone, ask them about $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments, whether through your 401k, IRA, or savings. They make it simple to move into something real before the next reset. Now, you may be thinking, wait a second, there's one thing I need to know before I make a decision with my wealth. Do they have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau? Yes, they do. Allegiance Gold A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You need that. So give them a call now, 844-790-9191, or Go to protectwithowen.com. That's protectwithowen.com. Protect your wealth because no one else will.
Turn my system 1 point.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, guys. You know, the insanity of the Trump administration is finally start to catch up to the normies. This whole Groundhog's Day, the Strait is open, the Strait is closed, the war is over, the war is won, we need to go to war, it's not a war, no new wars. It's really starting to permeate through the normie class that normally wouldn't think too much about this stuff. They normally wouldn't try to overanalyze it. It's just, okay, it comes, it goes, whatever. But the Groundhog Day nature of it is finally getting people to kind of look up and say, wait a second, what is going on here? So you're in the new episode of Groundhog Day today. And if you're reading the news, you're listening to the news, you have one person over here telling you that the Strait is closed, and you have another person over here telling you the Strait is open. Okay, yeah, who knows? Who knows? Who knows? And now, if you take things at face value, it's pretty obvious what's going on, guys. You know, I mean, the only weirdness of it is you have this political class of really disloyalists is what they are. They're traitors to the country. They're foreign loyalists, and they hold foreign interests in heart. And they're trying to hide the fact, they're trying to hide the reality now, which has never been more obvious, that Israel has more influence over our foreign policy than you, the American people. And the Israeli lobby has more influence over the outcomes of Congress, since they control both sides of the aisle and the White House, than you, the American people. And it's gotten to such a ridiculous point now, they're just going to go ahead and merge our militaries is what they're going to do. So as if the policies haven't been obvious enough, now they're just going to go ahead and merge our militaries. And they have to rush this through because they know how unpopular it is. They have to rush the new merger of the United States and the Israeli militaries through this NDAA. They have to do it as soon as possible because they know how unpopular it is, and it's only getting less popular as time goes on. So they have to do it now. Now, what happens after that is kind of unknown territory. I mean, that's total subversion of our country. I mean, that is, we are done. That is, the Declaration of Independence is dead. Bury it. We are no longer independent. We are no longer a sovereign nation. This nation has been totally occupied, totally bought and paid for. It's never been more obvious. And you sit there and you look at Trump and you just say, why did you do it? Why did you do this, Trump? Why did you pretend to be the American hero? Why did you pretend to be the American patriot and then rug pull us like this? I don't want to hear, hey, cool, we're doing a UFC 250 event. Cool. Hey, we're doing a Grand Prix 250 event. Cool. Hey, you're doing all these things. You're doing nothing is what you're doing. You're screwing us. And I can't tell if all of this bread and circus is just meant to be a distraction and a hype, because that's all Trump has turned out to be, just a giant hype man. If you look at the results, America's getting nothing, folks. America's getting nothing. And they fall for the red meat every time. Like I've got it in the stack today. You've got Dr. Oz on the streets with Nick Shirley, and they're exposing another fraud operation, some healthcare fraud operation, some daycare, and it's Dr. Oz out there. I'm just like, what are you doing? What is this? Is this just content creation now? What are we doing here? Are we going to save the country? Are we going to do mass arrests? Are we going to stop the fraud? It's like whenever you hear Trump bitch about stuff politically, and it's like, you're the president. What are you talking about? So they're just going to show you all of this fraud and create a bunch of content, and then nothing is going to change. It's like they're rubbing it in our face. It's like a giant humiliation ritual. Hey, we're doing the Grand Prix 250. It's coming up in a couple weeks. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great time. It's like, okay, you're selling our country out. What are you talking about? You just lied to the entire country for an entire campaign. I don't want to hear about a car race. Trump has turned out to be the biggest hype man, and then no results. And all of these cheerleaders, they just keep running on the field and waving the pom-pom. Hey, guys, the team is down 100-0. Hey, guys, we're like getting shut out here. Do you think you're getting mass deportations? By the way, so there was a little protest in D.C. at the congressional offices today. There's a little protest. It didn't make much noise. You likely won't hear about it. But there have been 2 ICE shootings, deadly ICE shootings, in the last week. Now, did you hear about these 2 ICE shootings? Did it make much headlines? Are there protests in the streets? No. Do you know why, guys? Because they won. We lost. We're not getting mass deportations. The leftist terrorists won, guys. They won. They got out on the streets. They intimidated the Trump administration. They got rid of Bovino. Payam Bondi couldn't do anything. You're not getting mass deportations. They won. The radical left won. That's why they're not protesting in the streets anymore. That's why they're not making a big fuss over 2 fatal ICE shootings in the last week. You won't even hear about it because they already won, guys. They won. The left won. You're not getting mass deportations. Now, the Trump administration has to beg and scratch and claw and fight just to deport an illegal alien pedophile. And they just had to do that in Minnesota. Now they're having to do it again in Illinois. That's all you get. They have to fight like hell with state governments to deport one single child sex abusing illegal alien. They won, guys. You're not getting mass deportations. They won. What about no new wars? We lost again. The foreign lobbyists won. The foreign interests won. The special interests won. The military industrial complex won. We lost. And people just think, hey, as long as I'm wearing a Trump hat and saying it's all great, we're winning. Hey, look, we got a Grand Prix 250. It's meaningless. It means nothing. I like to have as good a time as the next guy. The Grand Prix 250 sounds awesome. Sounds like a blast. What a fun time. It means nothing. We have been totally sold out. How is it that MAGA goes along with this? I guess that's only the real mystery here. I think that's the only real mystery here is how this new MAGA coalition or this whatever is left over of the, it's like, how are you guys still going along with this? What do you guys think you're getting out of this? Are you making money in the stock market? Yeah. Are you? Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure you're making millions on the stock market every pump and dump like the insiders are. Sure, buddy. Sure. You'll be lucky if you can even afford a house. You'll be lucky if you don't live in constant surveillance with the data center they're turning us into. I mean, the whole thing has been the opposite of what we voted for. And it's like, hey, man, we're beating the libs. Hey, man, we're owning the libs. We're beating the left. You're beating yourself. You're not winning anything. All right. So, okay, guys, the strait is open. The strait is closed. Iran blockade reinstated. U.S. to charge 20% on Strait of Hormuz cargo. So it's pretty clear now. Okay. So we used our military to go into Venezuela and basically take the oil. That's what that deal was. It was a total resource war, total oil war. Lasted, 5 hours? We went in, we got Maduro, we got out. Okay, we got the oil. Okay. Now you look at the situation in the Middle East. That's all it is. So you try to take the oil, you try to get control of the oil, and then obviously, as maybe the main interest or the side interest, however you want to look at it, is Israel gets whatever it wants in this situation too. So, supposedly we're benefiting because we're getting the oil. We're getting control of the shipping centers. We're getting control of the oil trade. And this is supposed to benefit us. That's the problem. None of this is benefiting us. If this was actually benefiting us, maybe you could deal with the immorality of it. If all of this foreign policy was actually benefiting us and our grocery bills were going down and our gas bills and energy bills were going down, if America was more affordable, then maybe you could put up with this type of foreign policy. Then maybe you could put up with our president going in and going into a war in Venezuela and going in and going into another war in the Middle East. If it was actually benefiting our country, maybe we could put up with it. It's not. It has hurt our country. It continues to hurt our country. And now we're looking at a situation long term. We don't know what this is going to do. We don't know what this could be for our country. We don't know if this could be a positive, a negative, a larger war. We don't know. But it's not what we were promised. It's not benefiting us right now. And it just shows that we have no control over our foreign policy, and Trump has totally sold us out to the foreign lobbyists. And now we're the guardian of the Hormuz Strait. Trump says the United States will be the guardian of the Hormuz Strait and is reinstating the Iranian blockade. So Iranian blocks it, then Trump blocks it. It's open, it's closed, it's ours, it's theirs. You want to know what's going to happen, guys? You want to know what this all looks like to me? I'd say it's inevitable we're going to put boots in the ground. I'd say it's inevitable we're going to Karg Island. I think the decision has already been made. The only question is the timing. I think the powers that be, the Trump administration, they want it after the midterms for obvious reasons. If you do the invasion of Iran or Karg Island and you put boots in the ground, or you have to hear about reports of U.S. servicemen and women dying before the midterms, you're beyond cooked. You're beyond done. Nothing at that point, depending on the timing of it, nothing else will even matter. The optics and the momentum of Trump getting us into another war with more Americans dying in the Middle East, you're done. People will run to the polls to vote for Democrats because they're so sick of this foreign policy. People will walk through broken glass to go vote for Democrats because they're so sick of the corruption of this administration and the total betrayal that we have to sit here and watch all of our interests be spoiled in the Middle East, all of our political capital be spoiled for globalist interests and foreign interests. People will sprint to go vote for Democrats. So they can't have it before the midterms. They got to wait till after the midterms. The problem is, I don't think they have control over the situation. The Trump administration and the powers that be, I don't think they have control over Putin. The Trump administration and the powers that be, I don't think they have control over Iran. Now, they might have a working relationship with China, but ultimately China will do whatever it feels benefits China. So they like to think, and they have lived in the world. They have lived in the world where they've been able to get away with all of this stuff. But I don't know. I don't know if that world still exists. And eventually that world is going to give. And maybe China is kind of the deciding factor here. But, you've got Russia, you've got Putin warning and this is the reason why I also think there could be a bigger war is when you listen to what Putin is saying, it sounds like Putin is trying to warn the American people like, hey, you guys are about to be involved in another war. Just so you know. Now, you can say, hey, don't listen to Russian propaganda. Don't listen to Putin propaganda. And I've not liked the way Putin has handled this situation in the last couple months either, I'll tell you. My approval rating of Putin has been trending down lately. But you still have to listen. And it sounds to me like Putin knows there's a larger war coming. And he's kind of trying to warn the American people like, hey, you guys, you know you're getting into a larger war here, and you just might want to know you're not fighting it for your interests. Now, whether you think that that's Russian propaganda or not, he's right. This war is not in our interest, and there has been nothing proven out of this war that benefits the United States of America. It's all for foreign interests. It's all for foreign interests. So I see that, and I think, okay, the only factor here is, can the Trump administration hold off this war until after the midterms? The war seems inevitable. Boots on the ground seems inevitable. Can the administration hold this off until after the midterms? That's the only question. And I'm not sure they can. I'm not sure they can. And do they even have the budget? Pentagon to Congress. Now, this was 2 weeks ago. Pentagon to Congress, spot us another $80 billion, please. The Pentagon was broke. This was 2 weeks ago, asking Congress for $80 billion because they're broke. Well, it's back in the news today. The U.S. military is almost out of money, or so they say. Pentagon sources told NBC News that the military may start parking jets and turning off exercises if Congress doesn't give them more money. It's unreal, guys. It's unreal. And we all know where the money is going. We all know why. It's not very popular. Yeah, let's just come out and say it, shall we? Trump is blowing on all of our money on Israel, guys. Trump is literally spending everything for Israel. It's unbelievable, the degree of betrayal in favor of Israel. It's unreal. And what conclusions are you supposed to reach? What conclusions are you supposed to reach? Is Trump blackmailed? Did Trump cut a deal in his personal life and he and his family are going to benefit from this in the long run? What is the deal? How does this happen? How did we go from no new wars, balancing the budget, stop wasting trillions of blood and treasure in the Middle East, to Trump literally putting the entire country on the chopping block for Israel? How did this happen, guys? What caused this? There's no conspiracy theory here. We're asking the question. You're not denying that this is the reality. Certainly nobody by now is denying that this is the reality. What do you think the real cost of this war is, by the way? Probably over $100 billion. At least $80 billion. Why do you think the Pentagon is asking for $80 billion? And oh yeah, who knows what we even have left as far as our weapons are concerned. Can the nearly $1 trillion a year U.S. military really be depleting key weapons in Iran? So between Ukraine and Iran, what do we even have left? What do we even have left? That was 2 months ago, by the way. That was 2 months ago. And then I look at Trump this morning as the stock market is tanking at this news. So what does Trump do? So he has to call into Fox News. So Trump has to call into Fox News, and he has to try to correct the narrative, and he has to try to sell this disastrous foreign policy to the American people. So what does he go back to? He goes back to the same propaganda they've been using against us for 30 plus years, and it's pathetic. I can't believe I'm watching Donald Trump do this. I can't believe I'm witnessing Donald Trump turn into a total propaganda agent for our foreign lobbyist occupied government. This is the biggest betrayal I've seen in my life. Trump is no American hero in my eyes anymore. He's a traitor. And I can't believe I'm dealing with this. I cannot believe it's mid-July 2026. And what are we talking about? We're talking about another war in the Middle East, guys. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about Doge cuts. We're not talking about just record booming economy. We're not talking about cutting into our debt, cutting into our deficit. We're not talking about manufacturing booming. No. We're not talking about mass deportations. No, we're talking about another war in the Middle East. It's George Bush 2.0. And here's Trump on the phone after a disastrous weekend for our foreign policy, after a horrible opening to the stock market. Trump goes on Fox News to try to correct the narrative, because that's what you do. You call into Fox News. That'll save the day. Just give a call to Fox News. That's how we win the narrative war, and sells you the same propaganda they've been selling you for 40 years.
Agreement that has been signed by this country. That's the top 5 bad agreements. And that basically gave them everything. And they built and built and built. And they were minutes away from a nuclear weapon. Mm-hmm. Had I not terminated the agreement, the Iran nuclear deal, it's called, they would have had a weapon then. Had I not killed agreement.
Folks, it's a total lie. Trump just totally lied to you. So he calls into Fox News because everything's a disaster, and he blames Obama. That's what he's doing. He's blaming Obama. By the way, hey, I'm no supporter of Obama, obviously. Obama's foreign policy in the Middle East didn't really work either. But as far as Iran is concerned, you could actually argue that it did. And if you want to do a compare and contrast between Obama and Trump and how they handled Iran, Obama is kicking Trump's ass. But Trump is kicking Iran's ass. Okay, so what? So it's cost us $100 billion. We've just spoiled all the political capital from what we thought was going to be an effort to save our country, and we've spoiled it in the Middle East. You think this is a victory? You think Trump kicking Iran's ass is a victory for us? You're a fool. You're a fool. And I thought we were above this. I thought we learned from this. I thought we weren't going to be fooled again. And now here we are, fooled again, maybe fooled worse than ever. And Trump knows this is such a disaster that his response mechanism, his defense response mechanism is, I'm going to go on Fox News and blame it on Obama. Nobody's buying this. So he continues. He continues because this is all Obama's fault. And they were moments away, minutes away from a nuclear weapon.
Let's leave that for another time. He was terrible. And he allowed Iran to, but he gave them $1.7 billion in cash, in green cash, put in satchels in an airplane and brought to Iran. $1.7 billion.
By the way, none of this means anything. None of this means anything. Trump is not going to do anything about any of this, guys. All this corruption from Obama, all this corruption from the Bidens, Trump is not going to do anything about it, in case you haven't noticed. He's not going to do anything about it. Are you okay with that? Are you okay if the Trump administration gets out of office in 2028 and nobody from the Obama administration is held accountable and nobody from the Biden administration is held accountable? Genuine question, actually. Genuine question for MAGA. If Trump gets out of office and nobody from the prior Democrat administrations are held accountable, will you be okay with that? Because I got news for you. Nothing's going to happen.
$1 million. Do you know what that is? Did you ever see $1 million in cash? This is $1.7 billion. It took up an entire Boeing 757, and they flew it to Tehran, and they gave it to people that were waiting at a plane. Can you imagine these people? They never saw money, and now all of a sudden they've got $1.7 billion in cash, and he gave them hundreds of billions of dollars in cash and everything else. And he went to their side, and because of that, they became much more powerful because of Obama. And Biden, who was the vice president, but he probably had nothing to say because he was not such a stupid person. But then Biden, when Biden...
Guys, Trump is just so unserious. It's pathetic. And that's the understanding that you have to have now. It's not about, what is Trump doing or did he mean any of it? No. You don't even overthink it, guys. Trump is just so unserious. He just makes stuff up. Everything is just a conversation trying to re-steer a narrative that he's losing control of. That's all it is. You can't take anything Trump says seriously. Nothing. But he knows he has a cult following, and he knows he can still trick the boomers that listen to Fox News. So he just calls in, the Iran war has been a disaster. So instead of stopping it, like he should have months ago, like his instincts told him decades ago, like his instincts told him in the first year of his administration, but for whatever reason, he has no control. Israel has more control than Trump does over our foreign policy, I guess. You go figure why. Or Trump just is a traitor. Pick your poison. He just makes stuff up, and that's how you have to treat it, guys. He just makes stuff up. And congratulations. I mean, this is it. I don't know what else there is to see. How Section 219, the U.S.-Israel military merger, would thwart American democracy. Yeah, no kidding. Thwarts American democracy, thwarts American independence, thwarts American sovereignty. This would be the biggest act of betrayal, I think, in our country's history, even. Selling us out to a foreign country. That's what this is. It's disgusting. It's total traitorous activity. And all of these flag-waving American patriots are going to sit here and cheer Trump on as he sells you out to foreign interests, as he sells this country out to a foreign country. And this is what it's all about, by the way. The merger would connect the U.S. and Israeli militaries in unprecedented ways and make it exceedingly difficult for any future president to unwind this partnership with a foreign government, no matter what public opinion says. Well, public opinion has already spoken. The public don't want this. There is no appetite for this in the American people. If you put this up to a vote tomorrow, 70 to 80% of Americans would vote against this. And they know that. That's why they're rushing it through. That's why they're pushing it through the NDAA, because it's corrupt, because your Congress is corrupt and Trump is corrupt. And for whatever reason, the Israeli lobby owns this country. That's what it is. Stop playing games. Stop mincing words. Call it is. Don't be a coward. Don't be a coward, American. Stand up for yourself. Hey, listen, all you right-wing conservatives, you love the country, okay? All you right-wing conservatives, you claim to be patriots, all right? And you really believe it, and maybe you genuinely think you are and you want to be, okay? Okay? Where are you? Wake up. This is it. Don't you understand? All of the propaganda has brought you to this moment. This is the moment. The censorship of speech, the threats that if you say something, you're going to be labeled this, that, or the other thing. The Department of Justice focusing on one side of speech, just one. All of this tricking the American right into thinking, oh, any coverage of this is just anti-Semitic. Don't you get it? This is it. This is the moment. This is the moment. You're being conquered. You're sitting here waving an American flag, beating your chest as you're being conquered. And if you don't want to get direct, I don't want to say that about Israel. I don't want to say that. That's a little heavy for me. I'm too scared to say Israel. Stop being a coward, American. Stand up and say it. Speak like an American. Stand up, put your chest out, and say it. Our country is occupied. Don't be a coward. Go ahead. Wave that American flag. Stand up, get your chest out, get your back straight, get a nice breath of fresh American air and say it. Our country is occupied and Donald Trump sold us out. Say it. Don't be a scared American. Don't be a coward. Say it with your chest. Say it. All of this is brought to this. They want you to be scared to say it. They want you to pretend it's some leftist liberal propaganda, some anti-Semitic propaganda. Stand up, stand proud, stand tall, put your chest out like a proud American and say, damn it, I'm sick of my country being sold out. And that's what it is. And oh, by the way, and you know, it'll get to a point. It'll get to a point, and they'll say, oh, if you criticize Israel, that's a crime because you're criticizing America's government. You're criticizing America's military. And you're not allowed to do that. And then they'll start writing speech laws. And then they'll start making it illegal. And then they're going to use their whole spy apparatus to make sure that you can't speak and think freely. That's what's happening. And, you know, in the larger picture of it, Israel is just one player. In the larger scheme, Israel is just one factor over here, part of a larger faction of corruption and selling the country out, but it's still operating in its own interests. The reason why they're moving forward with all of this is because they know that this is their last chance. The next wave is going to be the total surveillance state and the AI government. And once that happens, once we flick that switch and once we make that crossover, the whole Israel situation isn't even going to matter. But Israel is trying to get themselves positioned before that happens so that they can still control our government and basically keep the American people as slaves to their own interest. And that's what it is. That's what it is. You're a slave. You're a slave to the foreign interest. It could be any foreign interest. This time right now, Israel's just the biggest benefactor of the American slave class. It's the big tech. It's military, industrial complex. It's Israel. They're the biggest benefactor of the American slave state. And it's just unbelievable that I have to sit here and pretend like, or I have to sit here and somehow still try to convince the American people that, hey, you've been sold out. Could it be more obvious? I mean, you've got foreign flags flying all over your Congress, folks. I mean, hello. You've got Trump telling you his biggest donor is Israel first. That's Trump's words. They're merging our military with Israel's. Like, wake up. But no, then they see Trump come out and say, it's the greatest economy ever. And they're like, oh my gosh, greatest economy. It's so great. The stock market is up. Oh, the stock market. Oh, I made $10 on the stock market. Yay. We're having the 250 Grand Prix. Oh my gosh, car racing. Yeah. Meanwhile, the whole country is being gutted and looted and sold to the highest bidder. So, hey, enjoy the ride, you know. Enjoy the ride. Netanyahu is letting you know, hey, this is a good thing, guys. This is a good thing for you. You thought your slavery to Israel was intense? This is going to make it permanent.
Prime Minister, will that drawing down of foreign aid from the United States to Israel be compensated by the proposal to have a merging of some sort between our Pentagon and your military?
Yeah, I'm calling it from aid to partnership.
Prime Minister, will that drawing down?
He's such a liar. Netanyahu's like, oh yeah, we don't want any of your money anymore. We don't want any of your aid. We're actually going to sign a contract. We're going to get married now. Now your bank account is ours. So it's not, we don't even cut the checks anymore. We don't even have to say, yep, okay, Israel, we'll give you some money. We'll give you some support. No, they signed this bill. They own it. They signed this bill. We're married. That's it. There's no prenup. And that's why they're doing this, guys. They all know the corrupt foreign interests that have conquered your country and made you a slave. They know that maybe 2 election cycles from people really not liking it at all and candidates being so in tune to that it's not even going to be a policy approach anymore. So instead of just accepting the fate that the American people are no longer interested in Israel's interest, instead of accepting the fate that the American people are sick and damn tired of the Middle East where they've spent trillions of dollars in U.S. blood and treasure, our way of life has gone down, our infrastructure has gone down, everything, our standard of living, everything has gone down in our country because we've been spending trillions of dollars and focusing on the Middle East for foreign interest in the military industrial complex. So they know the people are done with that. So instead, they're just gonna force home a marriage before there's nothing they can do politically anymore. That's what they're doing. They're forcing you into this marriage. It's like a rushed marriage. Like, I'm sure there's some movie. It's like there's some big controversy and the wife knows I got to rush this marriage, or the husband's going to find out I'm cheating on him, or I've got to rush this marriage before he asks me to sign a prenup because I want to take his money. It's like, that's what this is. Israel knows we want out of this relationship. Israel knows we're about to break up with them. Israel knows that's it. No more money. We're cutting you off. So they're rushing the marriage right now. So they're calling a priest and they're calling a best man and they're getting everybody lined up and they're going to rush this marriage that nobody wants. And then we'll see, what are they going to do now that they have McConnell with what that situation is? Lindsey Graham, they don't have that vote anymore. This whole thing is becoming quite interesting. And none of it benefits us, by the way. It's all to benefit foreign interests and special interests. Joe Kent covering this. This week, the Senate will vote to merge our military's most sensitive and secret capabilities with Israel. This merger is buried within the massive NDAA that they're hoping you won't notice. Merging our military with a foreign country is a treasonous betrayal of our sovereignty. Call your senators and tell them to vote no on the NDAA until the merger with Israel is taken out. Tell them that we will never support merging our militaries with a former nation. Senate switchboard number 202-224-3121. There you go from Joe Kent. And he's right. It's total betrayal. It's total betrayal, if not outright treason.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
It's America's home for political play-by-play. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, you guys are picking up on some of the aesthetics changes of the show here. We're not all the way there yet. We're not all the way there. We're almost there. DMT got the new bug up in time. We had to publicly scold him, but he got it done. Sometimes a good public scolding is all you can do, you know? Sometimes that's all you can do, guys. All right. So Lindsey Graham, you know, I don't want to get too much into the conspiracy theories. And, you know, I think that there's reasonable questions as far as, you know, what happened to Lindsey Graham, the timing, who made the call. I think there's reasonable questions. I'm not so into the conspiracies just because I don't understand who benefits. I guess the one thing I saw as far as the conspiracy theories were, it was a message. A message was sent. I don't know if I'm really buying that. But there are some questions about the timing of it. And he was just at a secret Ukraine drone factory that got bombed by Russia. And then the timing of the flight back and how it doesn't add up with the reporting of the phone call and then the mystery phone call, who made the call. So there's legitimate questions there. And then the cardiac event out of nowhere, you know, that can happen. So I don't know. There's legitimate questions. I don't get too much into the conspiracy just because I don't see who benefits from this, really. You know, Lindsey was a rubber stamp in D.C. for anything the Trump administration wanted. Now, you know, what would Russia's purpose of blowing Lindsey up at a drone factory? What would that be? Could it be coincidental? I suppose. I don't really buy into all of that, but there's, you know, these are the conspiracy theories being floated around. And in this day and age, and you know, I will say, I'm not buying any of the conspiracy theories, but to go back to what I said at the beginning of the show, you know, I can't help it. When this story first broke and they released those videos, you probably saw the videos of Lindsey Graham, or well, images actually, they were still images of Lindsey Graham on a gurney in D.C. getting into the ambulance. I mean, folks, I was zooming in and I was like, is this AI? Is this even real? So again, I don't know. I'm not really buying into much of the conspiracies just because I don't really see who benefits. I'm sure Lindsey Graham had been vaccinated a couple times. You know, this can lead to cardiac events. He was over 70. I don't know. Legitimate questions. Definitely some mystery about. Regardless, he's gone. And he was a big supporter of Ukraine. He was a big supporter of war. We all know that. Lindsey Graham toured secret Skyfall drone factory one day before dying. So he was just at this secret drone factory before Russia blew it up. All right, so now they have another vacancy. So really you've got two vacancies. And again, it's just like, how can you not wonder? Are any of these images real? Are the images of Mitch McConnell real? Are the images of Lindsey Graham real? I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to trust anything these days. So, all right. Who will replace Lindsey Graham? His death will shake the Senate and the November election. Here's what comes next. So there's a limited amount of time here. It seems inevitable that McMaster, who is the governor of South Carolina, it's his duty to fill that seat. And it appears at this time they're going to go with Lindsey Graham's sister. Now, look, I feel it's a propaganda move. I don't have time for feel-good moments, okay? I'm sorry. I don't like this feel-good crap right now in politics. Oh, Lindsey Graham was a hero to his sister. His parents died. He adopted her. It's this feel-good thing. I feel like it's all propaganda to try to whitewash the truth about Lindsey Graham as senator. Say whatever the hell you want about him personally. I don't know. And now you've got all these like secret transgender hookers that are claiming, Lindsay was famous in their circles. I don't know. But it looks like they're going to fill it with his sister and then try to clean up his image like he was this great guy and look what he did for his sister. And maybe all that's true. I don't know. And maybe that's why he goes and plays with kids' toys at Disney World. I don't know. I don't have time for feel-good moments, okay? Our country, it's like, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand. What happened to the sense of urgency that all of these people on the right used to have? There used to be a sense of urgency. There was a sense of urgency when Biden was in. There was a sense of urgency when Trump got into office. The sense of urgency is gone. Guys, nothing is happening. Where's your sense of urgency? If anything, your sense of urgency should be heightened right now with everything that's going on. So they're going to put his sister in, it looks like. It's a feel-good thing. I don't get it. I mean, are we a serious country or not? Is this administration serious? Is the GOP serious with a sense of urgency about saving this country or not? Because right now the answer looks like not. Right now it looks like the only thing they're serious about is whatever Israel tells them to do, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the deal. So it looks like you're going to hit his sister for a couple weeks. It's probably just a matter of time before they announce that. I haven't checked the news wires since I've been on in the last 90 minutes, let's say. But I think that's probably a done deal. And then you have a special primary election on August 11th. And the candidates that want to enter that have to put their names down before July 28th. The process doesn't start for another week, so the process is technically from July 21st to July 28th. You can already imagine the jockeying that is going back and forth right now in the South Carolina political world for that seat. Now, to me, the right thing to do, I guess you could do another election if you wanted, but if you don't at least give Mark Lentz a chance. And I notice how the propaganda agents and the deep state agents are trying to keep Mark Lynch's name out of these stories, like that CNN story, Mark Lynch not mentioned. Mark Lynch should be the leading candidate. Lynch is the man who ran in a primary against Lindsey Graham and came in second place. So that should be respected. Now, if you want to say, hey, he still didn't win an election, okay, that's fair. So you give him another shot. And if you want to even go a little further, because originally, when I was thinking about who's going to replace Lindsey Graham, and of course I naturally thought of Mark Lynch, I thought, well, okay, there's a legitimate gripe with that. He hasn't won an election. And the governor, McMaster, can reach into South Carolina politics and put somebody in there for the moment that's actually won an election. So, okay, that makes more sense. Whatever direction they want to go, you put someone in there that's won an election. Well, obviously, Lindsey Graham's sister has never won an election, so that's out the window. So it might as well be Mark Lynch at that point. You might as well just see what Lynch has to offer at that point. And then if he wants to run again, let him run again. But no, they're just going to put somebody in there who's going to be a rubber stamp, just as Lindsey would have been for whatever the warmongers want. And then they're going to run the election. You've heard Nancy Mace's name, some other South Carolina names that are already in office at the state level. And they're trying to avoid Mark Lynch. And, really what South Carolina deserves is a Paul Dans, Mark Lynch race. That's probably what the state deserves. And everything is off, everything's off kilter now because of the untimely death here. But that's what South Carolina probably deserves, is a Paul Dans versus Mark Lynch race. And that was likely inevitable post Lindsey Graham anyway, so might as well just give it to him now. But they're going to do everything they can. The GOP is going to do everything they can to keep Mark Lynch out. The GOP is going to do everything they can to make sure that whoever replaces Lindsey Graham is a rubber stamp for the establishment and a rubber stamp for the foreign lobbyists and a rubber stamp for the donor class, just like Lindsey was. So that'll be his sister for the next couple of weeks. And then we'll see what happens when they announce who is going to run for the special election in August. But watch, they will try to box out Mark Lynch because he's not part of the corrupt establishment. Then there's Mitch McConnell. You know, I don't want to spend too much time on this. It's hard to say for sure what is going on with that picture. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't trust anything. Do you think the picture is AI? And when did his wife get back, by the way? When did Elaine Chao get back? She just reappears out of nowhere. Everything we heard about Elaine Chao is that she was gone. She was not coming back. Then now she's back taking pictures. Obviously, they put the newspaper here to show you that McConnell is alive and well with the newspaper. People think it's AI. I don't know. I don't know. You're right to be skeptical. But does it really change much? Does it really change much at all, whether it's AI or not? Sure, it keeps us from knowing the truth, but the story is still the same. We have a senator who has been missing and incapacitated for over a month, and they're just gonna pretend like it's not happening. I mean, like, what? Is it AI? Is it not? I don't know. Mitch McConnell has been brain dead as far as, I mean, he hasn't been able to talk publicly for over a year now, guys. So it's all just a farce. The whole thing is just a farce. Oh, and by the way, one of the names I forgot in the South Carolina issue is Nikki Haley. Now, Alex Bruesewitz, again, is calling out all the people that are being paid for. Well, who knows? You tell me, guys. So Bruesewitz says, Lindsey Graham just passed away, and influencers are already promoting Nikki Haley to replace him using the exact same language. Now, that's where it gets interesting. You might say this is organic. Nikki Haley, she's been around South Carolina politics. She's basically the same warmonger that Lindsey Graham is, so kind of an establishment hawk, war hawk. And, yeah, well, maybe that would make sense if you wanted to put her in there for the time being. She's basically just the female version of Lindsey Graham, the straight version on the female side. But then you look at this. So a couple accounts here that shared this. By the way, I didn't see any paid ad disclosures on these posts. Would you be okay with Nikki Haley succeeding Lindsey Graham? I'm still angry at her for running against President Trump in the primary. Look, I'm still pissed Nikki Haley ran against Trump in the primary. Huh? But she'll hold down the seat. She'll lock down the seat. Interesting. Now, I've been reporting on this stuff for a while. I know that this stuff goes on. And it used to be they would just copy and paste it. Now they tell them to work it a little bit so it doesn't seem obvious, but they'll put things in there that it's like, hey, make sure you put this in there. So clearly it's like, hey, make sure you say that, hey, we're mad at Nikki Haley, but it's okay now. So they all say that. And then hey, it's just a strategic move. She'll hold down the seat. It's like, all right, this is what they're telling you. Guys, look, I don't know if I want to get into the whole X situation. It's slowly starting to catch into the mainstream conversation right now. What's happening with X? People are picking up what I was reporting last week. The whole observe and report that X is no longer a social media app and more so an intelligence gathering operation. All of this stuff is starting to come to the reality here. And part of it, too, is these scripts. And, you need to be aware that the independent media and the social media are now just as bought and paid for as the corporate news networks. You now have to understand that. And this is something that you have to consciously understand and adapt to. Because there's still a level of perceived innocence. There's still a level of perceived organic nature of social media, independent media. It's gone now, guys. It's gone. It's over. They're just as bought and paid for as the corporate media now. So just like we would see these corporate news networks and their local affiliates read off the same script off a teleprompter, The same thing happens on social media now. The same thing happens on the independent media now. And, you know, the truth is, it is not easy out there. It's not easy out there. And I think a lot of people got used to this lifestyle when there was all this political money floating around to support Trump. And they kind of got used to it. Maybe some of them quit their jobs. So now they just view that as their job. Folks, the money's drying up. The money is drying up. It is hard to make money in political media right now. And you hear some of these stories about bigger operations going under. You know, unless you've got big money backers and big sponsors, you can't really run a big network anymore. It's just hard. So most people now, the only way to run anything is to be as independent as possible. But all of these people that were taking money during the campaign, that were making a living off of the Trump campaign, they're now looking for ways to make money. There's no other way to make money. So they're just taking the scripts. They're just taking the digital influence campaign money. They're just taking the scripts because they don't really have any other option, I would say. Now, so they're promoting Nikki Haley. What does that tell you? Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's responding. People were throwing Trey Gowdy's name out there. I don't anticipate that's serious. But she responds, you think that because the old boomers in power are starting to die off, that you would be able to finally replace them with elected officials that actually serve the people? Wrong. They will replace the old deep state with young deep staters. We need a political revolution. Marjorie Taylor Greene. You know, that's the kind of stuff that MAGA used to cheer. That's the kind of stuff that MAGA used to get behind and rally behind. That was like the Trump campaign. That was like our culture. Now look at MAGA. A bunch of simps, a bunch of cucks, a bunch of sellouts, a bunch of cowards, a bunch of frauds, a bunch of operatives, a bunch of traitors. It's like, you know, every once in a while, something that I do or say or whatever goes viral, and you know, friends and family that don't really follow politics will see it, and they'll send it to me and just say, hey, what's up? And the hairpocalypse spurred a lot of that. You know, it's funny, as I don't know, am I having a good hair day today? Like, I don't even think about it. No, it's funny because I can look like a complete, I can look like an uggo. I could look like a freak. I could look like a weirdo, like whatever. I'll say whatever you want about my looks. You guys don't get it. This is what MAGA doesn't understand here. You guys can rip on my looks and that's fine, and rip on my look and roast me until the cows come home. You don't get it. I can look as ugly as physically possible for me to do, and I will still look better than you because I'm not a sellout. I will still look better than you because I'm not a traitor, and I'm not a coward, and I'm not a fraud. And this is what you guys don't understand. This whole MAGA ride, this whole MAGA cheerleading bit is dead, guys. It's over. You haven't figured it out yet. And by the time you figure it out, it's going to be 2028 and it's going to be gone. There's going to be nothing left. And this is my frustration. And by the way, I'm seeing this in my comments. And I'm like, what are you going to do when nothing happens in 2 years? Seriously, what are you going to do? What are you going to do in 2 years when there's no mass deportations? What are you going to do in 2 years when we've spent $500 billion on a new war with Iran? What are you going to do in 2 years when gas is still $3 and $4 a gallon? What are you going to do in 2 years when the debt is over 40 trillion? What are you going to do? What are you going to do now where, you know what, by the way, let me say this to you too, because this is very important and most people haven't really figured this out yet. And I don't know how much of this is organic versus part of the plan, let's say. And you see it now. It's like, is there any right-wing resistance to anything? Is there any right-wing anti-establishment resistance to anything as far as politics is concerned? Now, if you're talking about Washington, D.C., no. Look at Thomas Massey. They got him out. Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's out. All the true anti-establishment people, they're all getting booted. They're all getting removed. But what about the people? Where is the dissident right? Where is the anti-establishment right? Well, they're kind of going against these flock cameras. And I don't know who's out there actually taking them down. We don't know too much about the individuals taking them down. But okay, people are out there taking them down. Maybe it's right-wing protesting, whatever it is. That's basically all you got. That's basically all you got. And, I look at this stuff on social media and think whatever you want about these individuals. I'm not promoting them. I'm not attacking them. I'm just covering the news here. I see Jake Lang goes out again. He gets attacked. Whatever you think about him. I see Sneeko goes out again. He gets punched. It's like these people are just doing live streams and they get attacked. They're just doing whatever. They're just getting attacked. It's just nonstop. All these people getting attacked. All these public figures getting attacked. Of course, we see January 6th, what they did to us after January 6th. We saw what has happened, obviously, to Charlie Kirk. You understand what this is, guys? And now they're attacking. Hey, look, you don't have to promote criminal activity, but you see this attitude where how dare you go after flock cameras? So like what? When the AI technocracy takes over and the people that are actually rising against the robots to free humanity, are you going to be against them too? It's like, where do you sellouts draw the line? So whatever, you don't have to support criminal activity and maybe you don't think going after flock cameras is the right agenda. Okay, fine. Where is the anti-establishment right? You know where they're at, folks? They're at their homes. They're deeply embedded in their own personal lives now. You know why? Because the last time the anti-establishment right tried to do something with a political movement, we all got arrested on January 6th and Trump sold us out. And now all the people that stood against us now represent and have co-opted our movement. So the dissident right has nothing and no interest in politics anymore. Everything's been taken from them. Well, what about people like me? What about people on the right that used to go out and do street content or have a platform and do public speaking? We all just watched Charlie Kirk get shot in the neck. So what are people that are dissident right? You think they're going to go out and do events? You think they're going to go out and do public speaking? You think they're going to go out and organize a big event? No, the message is clear, guys. The message is clear. You organize as an anti-establishment right-wing person, you're going to jail. And the Republicans are not going to stand up for you. They're going to throw you in jail. You're a right-wing individual. You want to go to a public speaking event, college campus, whatever. Yeah, we know. We know what you want to do. And here's an angle to the Charlie Kirk thing that nobody's really talking about. And I understand it's like, how do you do it? If they pin this beyond a reasonable doubt and they convince the non-believers, whatever, that it was Tyler Robinson, and they run with this narrative that this is a left-wing terrorist that shot Charlie Kirk, well, think about what happens next, guys. Think about what happens next. Because you know that's what the narrative is. That's the narrative they're going with. Whether or not they we'll see what happens in the courtroom. That's the narrative. Radical leftist, left-wing terrorist. Okay. So what happens if they do this and they get the non-believers and they prove beyond a reasonable doubt? What happens then, guys? What happens? Nothing. That's what happens. Nothing. This administration is not serious about anything. It's all content farming. It's all clip farming. It's all hype. Think about it. Go with the official narrative here. 2 times a radical has tried to assassinate President Trump. And then you have the situation with Charlie Kirk. So, I mean, we can go on and point to all these different instances, all these different occasions of left-wing violence and terrorism. And now Trump is in office. We just saw what they did to Charlie. We know what they've done to Trump. And you know what they're going to do, folks? They're going to do nothing. They're going to do nothing. They won't cut these people's funding. They won't shut down their organizations. They won't arrest their organizers. They won't go after the people that sowed the environment for this violence, for this terrorism. They'll do nothing. And it's like, that's going to be the final big insult. That's going to be the final big insult, that you, as a conservative American, you don't matter. The only value you have to the political system is what can they get out of you. And that's how they treated Charlie, by the way. That's how they treated Charlie. So this will be another reminder that the right wing and its leadership has to take the knee. You have to take the knee. You have to take the knee politically because you have no representation in D.C., and you have to take the knee on the streets because radical left-wing terrorism continues to fester and nobody's going to do anything about it. And they'll do a big thing about how they got Tyler Robinson, and they'll try to open and shut it as if he acted alone, if you believe that, as if he acted alone and that's it. Now it's all said and done until the next one happens. And by the way, though, what's up with Lance Twiggs? Why are we trusting this Lance Twiggs guy? Am I missing something here, guys? So Lance Twiggs apparently is transing to appease Tyler's desires. What is going on? And now he's back and he's not transing, and now he's the star witness. And what is the deal? Why does anybody trust this guy? This is our star witness. Plenty of questions about that guy. I don't trust Twiggs at all. And now we're trusting Lance Twiggs, whose whole star witness testimony was strange. The entire process was strange. And now he's the guy that's going to finger Tyler and say, yeah, he did it. And this is who we're trusting. I don't get that one. I'll give up the Lindsey Graham stuff. Him basically saying, maybe we need a little reminder of Lindsey's time in office.
You can thank Donald Trump and Elon Musk for that. I've been going all over South Carolina like most people. Hadn't slept much. But look what's going on in Israel. Our friends in Israel are surrounded by people that want to kill them. I've been going all over South Carolina like most people. Hadn't slept much. But look what's going on in Israel. Our friends in Israel are surrounded by people that want to kill them. I've been going all over South Carolina like most people. Hadn't slept much. But look what's going on in Israel. Our friends in Israel are surrounded by people that want to kill them.
What about what's going on here, Lindsey? Not with us anymore. But that's who he was. That's the attitude of our politicians. It's not just Lindsey Graham. He just says it. Lindsey's just honest about it. They all feel the same way. What about Charlie? What about Trump? What about the rest of us that got imprisoned? What about the rest of us that got censored? What about the rest of us that got doxxed, death threats, guns pointed at us, swatted, you name it, imprisoned, persecuted, sued, arrested? What about us? Any care for us? No, we're only as good as the value of our vote. And once you get in power, you don't give a damn. That's what I'm sick of. That's what everybody's sick of. By the way, this story, Trump used old Air Force One to depart Turkey as a security precaution. This story is weird. This story has some things that don't make sense. President Trump took the old Air Force One for part of his return from the NATO summit in Turkey instead of his newly retrofitted plane gifted by Qatar as a security precaution amid renewed hostilities between the United States and Iran. Well, there's all kinds of conspiracy theories out there that this was some weird strategy thing that Trump pulled off to try to smoke out some rats. And I guess adding fuel to that is this. New York Times reporters are subpoenaed after Air Force One stories raising press freedom concerns. The Justice Department said To be clear, reporters are not the targets. Those leaking classified information are. So the whole thing is weird. It could have been a weird smoke out operation, but there was also reporting that Trump was pissed and he didn't really buy the threat and he wanted to use the new Air Force One anyway and was basically had his arm twisted and they said, no, you can't do this. We can't guarantee security if you don't fly on the original Air Force One, not the new one. Apparently he was pissed about that. So I don't know, but that's strange. And don't think you've heard the end of those stories about subpoenaing. Don't be surprised if more comes out about that. And that'll be a big controversy. All right, we talked about 250 Grand Prix. It looks pretty cool. You had some cars rolling up, doing a pit change in D.C. They're going to be racing Indy cars through the National Mall, 1.7-mile IndyCar circuit. The inaugural Freedom True 250 Grand Prix going to be happening in August. So they're starting the prep for that. August 22nd, 23rd. Is when that's going to be. Hey, nice distraction from all the corruption, right? A nice distraction from all the corruption we're dealing with here. Like this. You know, we always heard about these things. Somebody's gone public. Boozy Badass. I'm not too familiar with this individual other than I guess he's a famous rapper. Boozy Badass sues after paying $600,000 for a Trump pardon that never came. Now, most of this seems to be landing on the two individuals who have been around since 2016, Jack Berkman and Jacob Wohl. And basically, this rapper says he paid them and then never got the pardon. And I guess they were making it out like they had some sort of access or influence. That's kind of the claim being made here. Wohl and Berkman are not strangers to controversy in D.C. It just... I think that there is something here, whether or not Trump is in on the game or not. I do think people are basically profiting off of their access or influence to Trump. Now, I don't know all the ins and outs of this story. We'll see if more happens, but I do think people are talking and they're, you want a pardon? Okay, we can do this. We can do that. We can get you Trumps here. I think that that's what happened with Nicki Minaj. I think that that's what's happened with others. So I don't know how much Trump is aware of it, but I do think people are basically selling whatever access they have and saying, hey, we can try to get you a pardon. And this might just be a case that kind of opens up that narrative that we all kind of thought was there, but this is the most hardcore claim we've seen. So, okay, you've got a couple of fatal ICE shootings now, guys. You've had two of them, actually. Fatal shooting involving ICE officers under investigation in Maine. A local advocacy group identified the victim as a 26-year-old Colombian man who's authorized to work in the United States. DHS has not yet commented on the incident. Did you guys hear about this? Did you hear about the fatal ICE shooting in Maine? Did you hear? There's a reason why I'm asking you this question, by the way. You also had a fatal ICE shooting in Houston. Sons seek names of ICE agents involved in father's Houston death. They believe those agents should remain in Texas to cooperate with investigators. So there's investigation going on here. The sons of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, the Mexican immigrant fatally shot during an encounter with federal immigration agents in Houston, are demanding that authorities identify the ICE agents involved, saying their family continues to search for answers after his death. So that's two. I'm looking at the chat here. Have you guys heard of either of these two stories? Have you heard about the fatal ICE shooting in Maine or the fatal ICE shooting in Houston? Now, I was monitoring the news, and these things were barely a blip. Now, let me tell you why. Because this is actually a big story. There's a reason why you're not hearing about these like the other ICE-involved deaths. Now, if you recall, there was the the two incidents that obviously got the most notoriety, Renee Good and Preddy, I forget the gentleman's name, Preddy, I believe was his last name. And this was mainstream top story for weeks. And they made sure everybody knew their names. They made sure everybody knew their faces. And they made sure everybody heard these stories because it was an ICE agent killing somebody. And then they would segue that into how ICE killed this person or this person died in ICE custody. And it was all about driving that narrative because what? Because the left wanted to stop deportations. So they wanted to drive that narrative. They wanted to get people in the streets and they wanted to block deportations. Well, the deportations aren't happening. The left won, guys. And so the reason why you're not hearing about these fatal ICE encounters in Maine or these fatal ICE encounters in Houston, and the Democrats and the mainstream media are not using these things to cause a big outrage and a big protest, it's because they won, guys. They won. They won. There are no mass deportations. There's no mass deportations coming. There's not even an agenda or a plan for mass deportations. It's over. They won. But don't worry. And hey, hope I'm wrong. Prove me wrong, but I'm taking a bet here with my reputation. They ain't coming. There aren't going to be mass deportations. You'll be lucky if the Trump administration deports 1 million illegal aliens. You'll be lucky if the number gets to 5 million in 4 years. You'll be lucky if we get 5 million deportations. And 1 million of those will be deportations. The other 4 will be people leaving voluntarily. The other 30 million illegals are going to stay here. And the 20 million of them are going to continue to live on welfare. So why aren't you hearing about the dead illegal aliens because of ICE? It's because the left won, guys. They don't need to protest in the streets. They don't need to block the deportations in the streets because they won, guys. It's over. There's no deportations coming. None. But hey, don't worry, guys. You'll have a war in the Middle East. And that's what really matters. So, hey, you know what? Give Rubio enough credit. They did deport a child molester. So, the Minnesota Democrats pardoned a child molester, and Rubio did deport him. Thank goodness. We're probably going to have to ask Rubio to get involved again. ICE asks Governor J.B. Pritzker and Illinois sanctuary politicians to not release illegal alien after arrested for a kidnapping and sexually assaulting scandal of a 9-year-old girl. Yikes. And so here's the individual there. This is being reported on the official Homeland Security website. So it's so bad. You guys, we're winning so big that we have to beg Democrats to keep illegal alien pedophiles in jail. That's how bad it is. That's how much the Trump administration is winning, guys. They're begging Democrats to keep illegal alien pedophiles in custody. That's how much the Trump administration is winning. We have to beg Democrats to keep pedophiles arrested. That's the big fight now, guys. That's how bad it is. And you're still dealing with sanctuary city politics. Again, it's like, if nothing was getting done, and we had to hear about the balance of power, checks and balances, and the political process and all the stuff it takes to get stuff done, that'd be one thing. That'd be one thing if they were giving us those excuses that maybe had some legitimacy. But no, instead, we've watched the entire domestic agenda get completely ignored. We've watched the entire domestic agenda get co-opted, and now we can get anything we need to done with foreign policy. Israel needs anything, and we get it done within 24 hours. But as far as the stuff the American people want and the American people need, it can't get done. So if you had neither thing getting done, it'd be like, okay, this is the process. It's tough. It's hard. Checks and balances. There's a system to make it hard for the government to operate. Then you'd say, okay, we're not getting anything. This is just the system working. But no, you don't get anything that benefits you, And instead, anytime something benefits Israel, there's no resistance, there's no struggle, they get it done immediately. So now you, the American people, you have to sit here and watch this. You have to sit here and watch foreign interests get everything they want with no resistance. And then all the things you voted for, we can't even get done. You can't get a SAVE Act, which I wouldn't even know if I support it. I don't really think I support it, but that's not the point. You can't get a SAVE Act. You can't get mass deportations. You can't get deep state arrests. You can't get a balanced budget. You can't stop the debt. You can't get anything you voted for. But the foreign interests get everything with no resistance at all. And you have to sit here and watch this whole thing happen. And how you have landed on any other conclusion other than your nation is occupied by foreign interest, if not outright conquered by foreign interest, I don't know what other conclusion you can reach from witnessing this. And that's like the big joke. It's like, oh, look, you're having a midlife crisis because you changed your hairstyle. Oh, yes, no, I'm having a midlife crisis. All right. My entire country is occupied by foreign interest. The government that is supposed to work for me is enslaving me. The individual that I thought was going to represent America's interest and reform the government that I basically suffered immensely for supporting has completely sold us out. So, yeah, I guess we're kind of having a midlife crisis here, guys, and it has nothing to do with my hair. We're sitting here watching our conquered country get sold out to the highest bidder, and you don't have a problem with it? Look, Nick Shirley and Dr. Oz are exposing more fraud. Congratulations. Where do you think the fraud is coming from? Look, there's going to be a Grand Prix 250. Sounds great. Sports have been going on forever. When are we going to reform our government? When are we going to save our country? Oh, look, Trump said something funny on Fox News. Oh, look, Trump insulted Obama. Oh, MAGA. Cool. What are the results? It's getting bad. Trump says the final conversation he had with Lindsey Graham was about the SAVE Act. Is that what they're going to do to push this through? I don't know, guys. This one is going to be difficult for them. They are going to deal with constitutional issues. I have Thomas Massey. This clip just fired early. They are going to deal with constitutional issues and with getting the votes. Maybe they try to, we're going to do this for Lindsey Graham, to federalize the elections unconstitutionally, take elections out of the state's hands and give them to the federal government. If the Democrats were doing that, of course, Republicans and MAGA would be freaking out, but anything Trump does is good. So Trump can do whatever the Democrats are doing, but as long as Trump is doing it, it's okay. Just so you guys are catching up here, how it works. Trump does it, it's okay. Democrats do it, it's bad. That's the MAGA policy. They're definitely going to have issues. But, it's hard to ignore this irony that Thomas Massey points out when it comes to the SAVE Act.
I think it's ironic that we control the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, and the White House, and we're yelling election fraud. I mean, we won all the damn elections. And we're in charge, and what are we doing with it? We're bankrupting the country. We're starting new wars. We're violating the Constitution. We're not cracking down on the fraud. The problem is not the elections. We won the damn elections. The problem is we're wasting our opportunity that the voters gave us. And the Republicans are going to pay for that in November. It'll be an absolute shellacking if they don't wake up.
Imagine being so brainwashed that even though everything he just said is true, you can't support it because Trump told you you can't like him. Trump says, I can't like Massey, even though everything he says is true, everything he does I support. Trump says I can't like him, so I don't. So it's hard to interpret the real purpose of the SAVE Act. I must tell you, it's hard. I don't really buy that this administration cares much about election integrity. And the reason I say that is because they all agree that 2020 was a stolen election, and yet where's the accountability? Is that not maybe the biggest crime in this history's country, that they stole an election? And then you can talk about all the damage done because of it. So it's hard for me to really buy that anybody in this administration cares too deeply about election integrity when they let a election get stolen in 2020. So it's hard for me to buy any of that. Now, having said that, you look at the issues on the bill and you say, okay, these are the real issues, but turning it over to the federal government and taking it out of the state's hands is unconstitutional and also dangerous. Now, here's an analogy I would give. This is what I think the SAVE Act is really about. And since this is trending right now with the World Cup, I think it's the perfect analogy. The VAR. So the video review at the World Cup is supposed to obviously keep the integrity of the game intact. And yet, has the VAR not come into question as maybe the biggest ethical or issue with integrity that the World Cup has had? That's what's going to happen with this SAVE Act. If not, that's the intent of the SAVE Act. So it's like the VAR, the purpose is to make sure we get the call right. But what is the actual outcome with the VR? Are they getting the call right, or are they taking control of the outcome of the game anytime they get the opportunity? So the VAR just allows them to review and change the outcome of any certain play. And that's essentially what's going to happen with this SAVE Act, I believe. So, okay, if we want this team to win, the VAR is going to pick up on a hair follicle hitting the ball, and we're going to reverse the goal. Oh, wait, the VAR, they want this team to win. So now the VAR review, we see nothing. This ball that just hit the camera cable and deflected the ball, which is supposed to be dead ball, end of play, we're going to let that one go because we want this team to win. So ultimately, it's introduced, and the application is supposed to be to make sure you get the right result. In the end, it gets used to get the desired result, whether it's right or not. And so I think the same thing is that's the practical application with this SAVE Act, is they just want the federal government to have the final say of who wins and who loses. They're just going to be the VAR of elections. And it is unconstitutional as far as the state's rights are concerned. But if you're serious about election integrity, why don't you go in and do something about the stolen election? And why don't you have some sort of a serious press conference about gerrymandering, a serious press conference about mail-in ballots, all this other stuff? You don't get that because they really don't care. They only care about the foreign interest. Everything else is fake, in case you haven't figured it out. Now, Ro Khanna was part of a controversy. Armed Israeli settlers detained Ro Khanna. He wants their illegal outpost demolished. In an interview, Ro Khanna recounts the fear at being detained and says anyone who visits the West Bank would conclude that it is apartheid. Well, you can get into the debate about Ro Khanna and, you know, what he was doing there. Is it good that Israeli settlers are basically running it like a military now? Is it not? You can get into the debates. This is what Ro Khanna said after being held at gunpoint to the media.
I saw the arrogance in the eyes of those settlers, 21 and 22-year-olds with guns, laughing that they had detained us. The arrogance of those young IDF soldiers that my tax dollars are funding, having no respect for the fact that they were detaining Americans, no respect that there was an American congressperson in that bus, and laughing when our translator told them that there are Americans there and the American embassy is concerned. It is the arrogance of power, of a power that has had no accountability, total impunity, and has created a toxic culture of oppression.
Now, I can understand some of the response to Ro Khanna has been, hey, look, you're in a war zone. So I can understand the occupiers of the war zone, the Israeli settlers that are conquering a foreign country. That's what they're doing. They're conquering land. It's a military operation. They're conquering land. They're killing people. So I can understand. It's like, hey, you walk into a war zone, what do you expect to happen? You're kind of sitting bait out there. Did you not anticipate this would happen? So I can certainly understand. It's like, yeah, that's what's going on. But then you have to ask, well, is that what the American people support? Is this what the American people want their tax dollars to fund? Is this what our top agenda needs to be? Is making sure that Israel can conquer land and do as much death and destruction as their heart desires? Because that's the thrust of what this administration represents right now. So whether you agree with Kana and what he did there and is he the victim or not, really that just doesn't matter to me. What matters is this is what our tax dollars are supporting, and is that what we want? And of course, the answer to that is no. That's not what the people want. But unfortunately, the people don't get representation in Washington, D.C. The lobbyists do. The rich do. Not you, not me. Now, the IDF is denying any of this. And I guess their plausible deniability is that it wasn't the IDF. It was just Israeli settlers that are taking the land. They're just going in and taking land. It's an occupying movement. It's a conquering movement. So the IDF is saying, hey, it wasn't us, which it may be plausible. These are just Israelis that are going into Palestine and taking whatever land is there that has been bombed out or is getting ready for renovations for Israel. But the individual that he went with, who is an Israeli, his name is Nadav Wyman, and he's an Israeli journalist. This is the individual that Ro Khanna went with, and he's pushing back against the IDF. The IDF is lying about the detention of Representative Khanna. I was on the ground with him that day, and my body camera captured us being detained by both settlers and IDF. The IDF did not disperse the violent settlers as they claim. They explicitly sided with them. So, in other words, Israel is lying, Israelis are lying, the IDF is lying. No kidding. If they're opening their mouth, they're lying.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
You know, we got a little extra fervor today on the Owen Report. Brought to you by Crash Out Energy, the official energy drink of the Owen Report. Formulated by me, really for me, but for you as well. You see, I was drinking toxic energy drinks every day before the show. I had to get my 200 milligrams of caffeine. I was drinking the energy drinks, and then I was chasing the nootropics down with the toxic energy drink. So I'd be taking, 2 or 3 nootropic pills, capsules, and then drinking the energy drink. And I said, what am I doing? I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I don't want to drink these toxic energy drinks for the rest of my life. I need to formulate something that gives me the 200 milligrams of caffeine, but doesn't have the toxic ingredients and has the nootropics in it. That is Crash Out Energy. Everybody that tried it loves it. I will say the only complaint that we've had is that some people just don't like the pomegranate flavor. And it is organic. So you have to understand there's nothing unnatural in here. We didn't add any flavoring or anything like that. So it's a pure natural flavor. So if you don't like the taste of pomegranate, it's a little bitter, it's a little earthy. That's the only complaint. But really, this is kind of a health drink. And so just drink it anyway, is what I would say. So we're still considering a second flavor. But other than that, people love the energy. They love the focus. They love how it's long lasting and not jittery. And the reason why that is because 100 of the 200 milligrams is just straight caffeine. And then the second 100 kind of slowly get introduced through the guarana seed and everything else that's in there. So Crash Out Energy, try it for yourself. Replace that toxic energy drink with the official energy drink of the Owen Report. Crash Out Energy. Get yours today at crashout.energy.
It's the fastest 3 hours on the internet. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
You know, I forgot to mention this earlier. I see Trump is talking about it right now. They're live from the Oval Office. I'd tune in, but I don't want to gaslight you. I'd tune in, but I don't want you to get lied to. I forgot to mention Trump is saying how we're going to take over the Strait, and we're going to be charging people to use the Strait, and we're going to be charging all these European countries and everybody else to use the Strait. Oh, it's so stupid, guys. It's all such a lie. You're just getting lied to nonstop. Everything they do is to justify the unpopular foreign policy and the total selling out of this country. Everything, guys. Everything. And they're going to tell you to hate Mom Donnie, by the way. It's not going to work. Mayor Mom Donnie launches public interest technology crew, PIT crews, to rapidly build digital solutions to public problems. City will deploy 5 PIT crews, including one with support from the Rockefeller Foundation to the Mayor's Fund to advance New York City to make city services easier to access for working New Yorkers. First PIT crew will build an online complaint portal to enforce nation's first click to cancel protections. You know, say what you want about Mom Donnie. He is trying new things. And all the people that hate him can do is bitch and complain, even though he's having success, and then just tell you he's bad because he's a Muslim or a socialist, which, okay, fine. But I'm curious, you know, the whole snowplow thing that got a bunch of people pissed off actually worked. The whole snow, people plowing the snow, people bitched and complained that they were paying people to plow the snow, but guess what? They did it. Let's just see if this PIT crew thing works. Let's just see if they start picking up the trash and filling the potholes and fixing everything else that's wrong with New York City. It's kind of falling apart, quite frankly. Let's see. Let's just see. Meanwhile, churches, there's been 4 churches that have been burned recently. Most recently, investigators probing possible arson in blaze that tore through landmarked 173-year-old New York City church. Now, I'd say they are pretty clearly arson here. Maybe all of them even connected. And I do believe they at least detained a person of interest, and it looked like it was a special person that's gender confused. No confirmation of that since. But there was somebody being detained that we saw at the scene that looked like they were considering or have already considered changing teams. Now, Newsom said something interesting over the weekend, and I hate this, guys. I'm just here to report the facts, but unfortunately, the facts are that Democrats are saying things that are more popular now than Republicans. Now, that is a run that Republicans have had for really 3 election cycles, 2016, 2020, 2024. We had 2020 stolen. But it used to be Republicans saying things that made sense and that were popular. Now, unfortunately, it is the Democrats. And Newsom wants to win elections. Gavin Newsom tells Democrats to lean into dealing with socialists. So there's a lot of pressure right now. And obviously, Newsom is the leading candidate for the Democrats in 2026. Now, he's still acting indifferent to all of this. He's still pretending like he's not sure. Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty strong bet, I would say, that Newsom is going to be running. But it's what he says here that I wish Republicans would understand. And this is why Republicans are going to lose. And this is why I get so frustrated when I hear from Republicans, hey, just give up and just accept that the Republican Party is run by foreign interests. Just accept that there is no America First party. Just accept that there is no conservative party. Just accept that the right wing is a bunch of frauds and traitors, and just vote Republicans anyway because they're not Democrats. And we have to keep them out of office. And this is their big sales pitch, realizing that nothing is really popular right now that Trump is doing, and the administration has not been a success as far as the promises, the campaign was concerned. So they're just saying, well, just vote for us. We're not Democrats. And the transaction that is really transpiring here is that Republican voters don't want another war in the Middle East, and Trump is doing another war in the Middle East anyway. And so there are a lot of people that are so done with the wars in the Middle East, you could even claim they've become single issue voters, and they're not going to vote for a candidate that supports more war in the Middle East. Doesn't mean they're going to go vote Democrat, but it's become a single issue voter situation where I can't go vote for a party that works for a foreign country. I can't go vote for a party that is engaging in traitorous activity. I can't go vote for a party that just lied to me. I'm not going to do that. Doesn't mean I'm going to vote Democrats, but I'm not going to go vote for the Republicans that simply work for a foreign country. And the Republicans are saying, hey, you still need to vote for us no matter what. So, yeah, we don't work for you and we lied to you and we're basically a bunch of cowards and frauds and traitors, but you still need to vote for us anyway. So you're going to get all of Israel's interest, but at least we're not Democrats. And that's the transaction here. That's the transaction that they're trying to initiate. Go vote for us. We're not Democrats, even though we sell you out. And guess what? That's not going to work. And many people in the middle, libertarians, independents, anti-war conservatives, they're not going to go vote for Republicans in this midterm. And the Republicans say what? Well, we don't want you. You're a panican. We don't want you. Well, the Democrats, or at least Newsom, has a different message.
And for mayor, just for what it's worth, I ran against a member of the Green Party, which was, had aspects of the DSA that we know it today. There's so many aspects of the debates and arguments today that are just deeply familiar, and I think it's a very healthy thing. I'm one of those Democrats that deeply believes in addition, not division. And so I want a Big Ten party. I want to win.
So that's how you win. And all these right-wingers and conservatives and Republicans that are looking at conservative voters, Republican voters, and saying, hey, yeah, we sold you out to the foreign interest and the donor class and the lobbyists. You still need to vote for us because we're not them. You understand that what you've done is you have just alienated probably at least a third of your voter base. And it would be safe to say at least a third of the third that you've alienated will be voting for Democrats, for sure. And that might be enough just to swing the entire thing. But listen to what Newsom says here, guys. He says, you know what? Maybe we have our issues with the Democrat Socialists of America, but we need a big tent party. Folks, that was the message of MAGA. Let's not forget everything culturally conservative that was sacrificed in order to get a big tent. And you can think whatever you want about these things, but let's just say it for what it is. MAGA embraced gay pride. MAGA embraced LGBTQ plus conservatives. MAGA embraced transgender MAGA people. These are just some examples. So this is something that traditionally conservatives were against. These are things traditionally conservatives didn't want in the political movement. And they said, hey, it's more important for us to win if we take a hit culturally as far as tolerating some of these things that maybe we don't like. It's okay. We need a big tent. And it worked and they won. And now they're drawing back and they're saying, okay, we don't mind sacrificing conservative culture or conservative policy as long as it benefits Israel. And if you don't like that, well, that's on you. Get out of the party. So they don't want the big tent anymore. They're not interested in anybody being involved with right-wing politics that doesn't support Israel. So you can be anything else, You can be anything else that's traditionally not conservative, and that's okay. But the one issue they won't let you allow, they will never allow you in, is Israel. You either are fully in support of Israel or you're not going to be allowed in Republican Party politics. And then Newsom says, well, you know what? We're going to have disagreements on socialism and some other issues. We want to win elections, so we're going to have everybody in the party. So we're going to still try to court socialists. We're going to still try to court all of these different people because we need to win elections. And you know what? It's going to work for them. It's going to work for them. And you're going to watch the Republican Party sell the entire thing down the drain because they cannot abandon Israel's interests. And they're going to turn the whole party, maybe even into a shell of itself. I don't even know, honestly, if it can recover. I don't even know. That's the question. How does the Republican Party recover from what Trump is doing to it? How does the Republican Party recover from MAGA going from a serious political movement of hoping that we can reform and save our country to being a total sellout cult that is now so cringy and so traitorous that nobody wants to touch it with a 10-foot pole politically? How does the Republican Party recover from that? That's the real question. The only answer is you have to have a generational revolt and a generational takeover, and you kind of see that's what's stewing right now in the underbelly of right-wing political commentary in the independent media, at least. But that's not going to translate to much in 2028, is what I'm afraid. It's going to translate to taking a big loss, likely, in 2028. But the problem is that's what's needed. That's what's needed to save the Republican Party as a vehicle, because that's all it really is. The Republican Party is just a political vehicle to get into political power and then try to save the country with whatever you can do from those results of winning elections. And obviously we see that the Trump administration has decided they're just not going to do much with it outside of whatever they want in the Middle East. So the only thing that can save the Republican Party is the one thing the Republican Party is stopping from happening, and that's the younger generation from taking it over. Isn't it ironic? So say what you want about the Democrats, socialists, and the progressive liberals, and the Democrats, say what you want about them. They at least understand that, hey, unless we want to have a generational revolt against our party, we have to accept them in. We have to accept them in. So maybe we don't like socialists or whatever. We have to accept them in because we want to win elections, and eventually they're going to take over the party. So we're going to let them in. Meanwhile, the Republicans, hey, guys, there's one thing that can save the Republican Party. Let the younger people get in here. Nope, we're not letting them in. We need more boomers. Okay, so they're just tanking the party. So I don't know. I don't know how it recovers from this as long as the old guard is still in charge. Maybe doing something about daylight savings time? Maybe. Could that be the only thing that hope? What are we doing? Standard time could become permanent in United States under new bill with some exceptions. A new bill introduced in Congress could drastically change how we observe the twice-a-year practice of changing the clocks, even as a move towards daylight savings time permanent gains traction. I hate this. I hate this. Please don't. Whatever time we're on right now, just keep it there, please. I'm sick of flipping clocks. Let's just keep it where it's at now. Folks, if they do this move, our government hates us. I think this is the most hateful thing our government could do to us, is change the clocks back permanently. Because you understand what this does? Summer, the sun will be setting by 8 o'clock every night. And in winter, the sun will be fully set by 4 o'clock every night, on average. That's criminal. Why do you hate us in D.C.? Why do you hate us so much? In the summer, the sun should be setting sometime after 8. And in the winter, the summer should be setting sometime after 5 or after 6. And that's where the clocks are at right now. But what is with it? Why do you guys hate us? Why do you want it to be dark at 6 o'clock, at 5 o'clock, at 4 o'clock? Why do you want this? What kind of demons are you? What kind of freaks and demons are you that you want to keep the sun from us? Because that's what it is. It seems like these people are obsessed with keeping the sun from us. You know, this is one of the greatest tricks ever pulled against humanity. People actually are scared of the sun. Have you guys ever dealt with this before? There are people that are actually scared of the sun. I try to, my normal routine is I'm usually at the gym by 9 o'clock in the morning. And then when I'm finished, I'll either take a swim or go out to the field and stretch and get a little sun. So I try to get as much sun every day, but sometimes I can't make it. Sometimes I'm busy at home. And so I'll just like go out and do some yard work, or I'll just sit in a lawn chair in my front yard and, sit on my phone or whatever and just get some sun. And somebody was like, hey, he's like, oh yeah, you trying to get a tan out here? I'm like, yeah. And like, oh man, I'm scared of sunburns and all this stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? People are actually scared of the sun. Propaganda has people scared of the sun. And I get asked, it's like, well, what sunscreen do you wear? I haven't worn sunscreen in 5 years. I don't know. I couldn't tell you the last time I wore sunscreen. It's crazy that the propaganda has people scared of the sun. They are genuinely scared to the point where they see somebody sitting outside with no sunscreen and they're like, whoa, big risk taker. What? You're the risk taker not getting any sun. Do not be afraid of the sun. They're going to they're probably going to do it. Why wouldn't they? Our government hates us so much. They're going to block the sun. They're going to make sure the sun is down as early as possible. They just hate us because, having those long summer nights in June and July and August where the sun doesn't set till late in the evening that everybody loves, those memorable summer nights where you're still outside with some sun at 7, 8, 9 even p.m. They're just going to get rid of that. We just can't even have that. You can't even have a long summer night anymore with these bastards in D.C., these sick freaks. Anybody still use the mail, by the way? USPS is raising the price of forever stamps starting this weekend. The new price takes effect. Well, it took effect Sunday. So stamps are more expensive now. That's good. Nothing is getting cheaper. That's good. That's good. Data centers. These things are real popular. Trump administration loves data centers. Ohio Chamber report says there's enough water for data centers. Used water is a different story. So this is from last month. So there's this big issue in Ohio with these data centers sucking up the energy, sucking up the water. They tried to stop these things, but there's too much pressure in D.C. All the money is behind these data centers. So you know what happens. We the people, we don't have the money, so we just get crushed. And the one person that has more money than an entire city in Ohio that owns the data centers, they get their will met here. So that was the debate last month. Well, it comes back up now, and the data center money wins. Ohio brick makers' power bill jumps 90% as AI data centers squeeze the grid. There are going to be some companies that are on the razor's edge. So the data centers are causing energy costs to go so high that some companies are wondering if they can even make it in these smaller areas. They're having to find new ways to get water. Columbus could use recycled water for data centers' huge demand. So they lied. They said, oh, we don't need more water. We got plenty of water. Now the data centers are up and running and they don't have any water, and they're taking water from the people, and they're trying to figure out how to get more water. And because of these issues, they are struggling to get through the EPA. And so what is the Trump administration doing? They're just greenlighting it. The time-consuming permits dozens of data centers are skipping. A court ruling shrinking the scope of the Clean Water Act has allowed new data centers to speed through the federal permitting process. Communities are feeling the effects. Now, you could say, hey, we're kind of for this. We don't like the overregulation. We don't like all the red tape and the EPA getting in the way of things. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I think that's fair. But this isn't like a new development for cheap homes, affordable homes, where regulatory burdens increase the costs and make them unaffordable. This isn't some deal where we're trying to produce energy. We're trying to produce energy, and there's all these different regulatory burdens and red tape that keep us from producing energy. You know, this is kind of a new phenomenon. This is an unpopular phenomenon. There's a lot of unknown factors with these data centers. So this is one of those times where like, well, maybe we do need to have a little oversight and make sure that everything's above board. We're not really sure how all of this is going. So, you know, this is one of those times where you're like, well, we don't really like the government oversight and overreach and regulation and red tape, but data centers kind of a new thing. It's like, if it had any purpose, it's like, this is the purpose. It's like, we've been building homes forever. We don't need you to get in the way of building homes. We've been building pipelines and energy grids and using coal and all this stuff for years. We don't need you to get in the way of that. It's like, if it serves any process, it's for stuff like this that's new, and you kind of want to monitor it and see what happens. And of course, this is the one time now the EPA just says, you know what, just go ahead. Just take all the water, take all the energy. Don't worry about any regulations. And then what you're going to hear is you're going to hear about rolling blackouts. You're going to hear about energy costs going up. You're going to hear about water damage and bacteria in the water. Oh, yeah, that's right. We're already hearing about all of this stuff. And they don't care. They don't care. And why would they? They're all richer than ever. All right. Some slop here before we go to our super chats for the day. I think I want to, I don't know if it's a fair victory lap. I don't know if it's a fair Ruth on this one. I kind of want to call it. I don't know. Maybe the audience can decide. Do you remember last week I said the real race is not data centers. The real race is space exploration and expansion. And I said, all this panic where they're pretending like we're in an AI data center race, and that's the purpose of that is to get us to support the unpopular data centers. And I said, that's not a risk. We're not in a race with China or anybody for that matter for data centers. It's just fake. And really, ultimately, these things should be in space, quite frankly. So this whole thing is just a money grab and just a spy grid being set up to keep us all enslaved. USA, baby. But I said, what is the real race? What is the real thing that's going to matter as far as a technological race in the year 2026 is concerned? And I said, it's going to be rockets that land themselves. That's the real race. So this whole hype about data centers is fake. The real hype is space exploration and expansion, and who can really master reusable rockets? Who can really take rockets to, we can land these things. We can land 500 rockets a year plus. That's the real race. That's the real technological innovation race happening. And I think I got a little proof. That I was right about this. Now, first, so last week we saw China is starting to land rockets. Now, there's no doubt, at least, who propaganda goes all over the place when you get into, hey, this country's got the best rockets, or this country's on the moon, whatever. So there's all kinds of propaganda, not to mention corporate propaganda, corporate sabotage. But it does appear right now still SpaceX is way above anybody else as far as reusable rockets. As far as being able to land rockets consistently, SpaceX is closer than anybody else. But China is doing it now. China is trying to get in on that. And Japan. Japan is now in on this. The Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency, known as JAXA, has successfully conducted the first test of an experimental reusable rocket at the Noshiro test site, making an important step towards developing more cost-effective space launch technologies. And you can see that during the test on the screen here. The RVX rocket launched, hovered in the air, performed a horizontal maneuver, and then made a safe vertical landing. Okay, so China is starting to land rockets. Japan is starting to land rockets. Folks, this is the real race. This is the real race. It's not data centers. It's not AI. Most of that is hype and fake. Most of that is fake and gay. No, reusable rockets, space expansion, exploration, that's the real race. So all this hype about, we need to beat China and beat all these other countries with data centers, that's all fake and gay. we should really be focusing on, if we're in a race with China, who's going to be able to expand and really colonize space first. Now, some people claim with these alien declassification files that we've already colonized space. There's already colonies in space, and it's a big secret. Just put that aside. I just wanted to say, because I see people covering that. This is the real race. And if the United States of America can master this technology and colonize space first, we win. We win. That is the next industrial age. That is the next tech that is going to expand humanity and become the next thing. Now, how that integrates with automation, robotics, and AI, I don't know. I do think it integrates as far as we'll be putting data centers in space, and we won't be building them here on Earth and sucking our resources dry. That could be a decade or two away, but that will serve a purpose there. But this is going to be about putting stuff in space, colonizing space, building in space, storing in space, whatever it is, mining in space, expanding into space. That's the real race. That's the real race. And whatever country gets that first is you win. You win. And everything else that follows from that is going to be based on who masters that technology first. So that's the real race. And I think that really that's why Elon Musk is kind of untouchable right now, because he's the guy that's mastering that with SpaceX. Now, here's why I say that they know this, and this is why I think I'm being proven right today. Can I root it, guys? Am I allowed to root this one? Maybe not. I don't know. I'm feeling it. SpaceX cleared to fly Starship again after booster failure in May. So they had the big booster failure, and they were under investigation by the FAA if they could launch another one of these rockets. And so there's this big investigation. There's this big controversy. What are we going to do? And then what happens? China lands a reusable rocket. Japan lands a reusable rocket. And the FAA says, okay, SpaceX, you're cleared. Starting to get it. Starting to get it, guys. And by the way, good thing by the FAA clearing SpaceX to fly again. And they got a big launch coming up now. They might even do them this week. They're saying they're going to try to do one on Thursday. We'll see. Do you know why the FAA decided to clear them today, guys? It's because they just watched China and Japan land a rocket. This is the real race. This is the real tech race. It's not AI. It's not data centers. It's rockets. It's space. And I believe that's why the FAA cleared the Starship for flight, because they just saw what China and Japan did, and they said, okay, we can't stall this anymore. Go ahead. But hey, guys, you guys are thinking about your crypto pumping. So Eric Trump, he's big on the crypto game. And, it's widely reported how the Trump family's made billions in crypto. You can call them scams. You can call them rug pulls. But the numbers don't lie. The Trump administration said it was going to be the crypto administration. Crypto has tanked since Trump got in. The Trump family themselves ran some crypto coins. They tanked as well after Trump got in. And so this is a little embarrassing for, I think, Eric Trump, who I think is a good guy. But they're part of the corruption as far as the data mining for the crypto, or how mining crypto. They're big into the crypto thing. So Eric Trump says Ethereum is pumping hard. Guys, it went up 1%. It went up 1%. This is how desperate they are in their crypto boondoggle that just tanked. And they're pretending like it wasn't a cash grab. They're pretending like it wasn't a rug pull. So they get a 1% pump in Ethereum, and he says it's pumping hard. 1%. Meanwhile, it's down like 35% since Trump got into office. Dr. Oz is on the streets exposing fraud with Nick Shirley. I just don't get this, honestly, guys. I just don't get it. So we're just doing content now? Is that what we are? We're just doing content? So it's one thing when Nick Shirley does his content, and this is what he does. He exposes these fraud operations, Ask him how he does it. But he's out there as a journalist exposing this stuff. And now we have members of the Trump administration out there shooting content with him. And it just gets a little more suspicious, by the way. This is why I want nothing to do with anything right now. I don't want anything to do with anybody. I don't want anything to do with the administration. I don't want anything to do with people's drama. I'm turning down all of the offers to go to the foreign countries and do all the interviews and the sit-down stuff. You know, I'm just turning it all down. I don't want to be affiliated with anybody right now. Nothing can be trusted. Nobody can be trusted. It's all suspicious to me right now. Why is it that the Trump administration is doing content with Nick Shirley? Can somebody explain this to me? Why are you guys doing content? I don't get it. Are you going to stop fraud? Are you going to arrest criminals? Or are you going to shoot content? And then you're going to promote some guy? Is that what we're doing here? What are we doing? Can somebody explain this to me? So we sit here and you build up Nick Shirley and he goes to Congress and he goes to the White House and he gets pimped out by DC. He shoots all this content exposing all this fraud. And we just sit here and it's just every day fraud, 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 fraud. And now the administration is shooting content exposing fraud. Where are the mass arrests? Where is like, hey, the source of this fraud is the budget and the stuff that Doge was supposed to stop, the welfare state, on and on and on. Why aren't you guys stopping the source? You're not even doing anything. You've made a small handful of arrests. The fraud continues. The welfare continues. The source for all the fraud continues. You allow it to continue. And now you go shoot content exposing it? I don't get it. Am I missing something here? What's the story? Are we stopping fraud or are we just exposing fraud? I don't get it. Hey, guys, remember last week we covered that story about how 52% of women under 40 don't have kids? So this weekend, I noticed something. I was at the pool with family yesterday, and some of my friends were there, and some of their kids. And I'm looking around, and I noticed that all of these parents with younger kids, 5 and under, all these parents, and they're all old. There were like no young parents there at all. It's like all the parents were like over 40 years old. And so I looked into it, and then I found this story. Women over 40 are now having more babies than U.S. teenagers. So I'm just trying to figure out, what do you guys think is going on with this? Is it an economic thing? Is it like an arrested development thing? Under 40, the majority of them are not having kids. And then you go out to, a pool or wherever families go, like to take their kids, and all of the new parents are all like graybeards and 40 years and up. I don't know. It was weird. It was weird seeing that. I feel like that's not new, or I feel like that's not the norm. I feel like that is a strange phenomenon. And it didn't really hit me till I saw it, and I was just like, wait a second. There's all these little kids here, like all of them under 5, and all of their parents look like they are grandparents. I'm not judging anybody. You have kids whenever you want. This isn't a judgmental thing. It's just, it seems like there's something there. There's clearly a pattern here. Young people not having kids, and then people start having kids after they're 40. That is a new phenomenon. Is it the economy? Is it arrested development? Is it like the dating scene is so bad that you can't even find someone till you're 40? It was really strange seeing that, by the way. Hey, did you guys know this? I saw that Miley Cyrus was making headlines, and I was like, what is this show? Did you know Monica Lewinsky has a podcast? Not only does Monica Lewinsky have a podcast, she's landing big guests like Miley Cyrus. What in the hell is that? Oh my gosh. You know, it's actually crazy. It's actually crazy how everything we thought would happen in the Trump administration, it's like the opposite is happening. We thought that the media would get better. It's gotten worse. We thought that we would actually drain the swamp. The swamp is worse than ever. We thought we'd stop with all the foreign interests and the foreign wars and the donor class running our country. They own the country now. They're buying it, and it's totally owned by them, worse than ever now. It's like, where are the wins? Where are the wins? Monica Lewinsky has a podcast, guys, and she's landing Miley Cyrus. I don't really think what you want about Miley. That's not what it's about. Miley Cyrus is, she's like a top pop star in this country, like her or not. That is true. And she's going on Monica Lewinsky's podcast, who is famous for what? I mean, do I have to say it? What is going on? What in the hell is going on? Huh? Hey, I'm going on the Monica Lewinsky podcast. Hey, who is that? You know, the woman that hung out with Bill Clinton? What? How much of my audience is in New York? You know, you guys, New York City had a busy weekend. You had a big Jay-Z double night show at Yankee Stadium. Madonna, I think, had a double night show. There were all kinds of musical events happening in New York. Now, Jay-Z, a 3-hour delay at Yankee Stadium. The show didn't even start till midnight. Says he wanted to avoid fans getting trampled. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but I had to make sure everyone was okay. This is crazy to me. So people were trying to break into the stadium, and I give Jay-Z credit actually, because we all know what happened. What was it? Was it Travis Scott? Who had that concert where they people trampled and they died, and there was all that weird symbolism and everything with it. It looked like a giant ritual with the vortex and the portal. I think it was Travis Scott, some music festival. I actually give Jay-Z credit. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Jay-Z's music, but he was like, I don't want to see people get trampled and die, so let's just wait until they can get security to take over. I've been to a lot of concerts. I've been to a lot of music festivals. I've never heard of a threat like that before. So be careful out there, guys. You could get trampled at a concert. That's what we're dealing with now. How about China? What do you think of this? Chinese courts allow heirs to inherit accounts of deceased gamers. Multiple cases spanning years establish precedent for digital ownership of games, in-game items, and microtransactions. Your kids can inherit your digital game library if you're in China. This is actually brilliant. This is a smart move by China. Actually, the United States needs to mimic this immediately. Now, if you notice, all these games now are all going digital. They're all digital. Can you even find, do they even sell actual physical games anymore? I know that they sell cartridges for the Switch. I'm curious, do they still sell discs if you have a PlayStation or if you have an Xbox? Can you even still buy a disc, or is it all digital? And I was reading a report on these numbers, how they'll sell the same game for 10 years for $60, where if it's a physical game, like a disc, you can go buy the disc for 10% of what the price was. Well, they don't like that. The video game companies don't like that you can go buy a hard copy, because that's costing them money. They only get one transaction out of that. So when they make it digital, they get every transaction, and there's nothing you can do. So that's what it's about. They want to make sure you have to pay $60 for a game, and you can't go into the used game market and buy it for $10. So it's a big greed money grab. And China is now cutting into that, saying, no, if you own something digitally, you can also pass that down. Oh, if there's a video game lobby, If there's a video game lobby in DC, they're going to make sure that this never happens in America. And you know what? Maybe that's why they brought in that new Xbox woman into the administration. I thought it was because she was tanking Xbox and turning into AI, which is still happening. But maybe they want to make sure she's in there. So, hey, if there's any noise, if there's any grumbling about the U.S. government doing what they did in China, we're going to stop that. We got to microtransaction the American people to death. That's what we have to do. And that's exactly what they're doing. So China gets one right. Did you guys see any movies this weekend? How about Supergirl? Sounds like nobody did. Supergirl delivers worst box office returns for DC in more than 20 years. How does everybody see this coming from day one and the movie producers don't? How does that work? How is it that morons on X all saw that this Supergirl was going to tank miserably, and then, of course, it does predictably? I have a new theory. I think they wanted it to tank. I think they wanted this to tank because it was a blonde girl as the lead actress, and they wanted to just put a blonde girl down a pedestal. You know, they had the Snow White tank for identity politics reasons. They had the Little Mermaid. You know, the Little Mermaid kind of tanked in theaters, but overall it actually had a little bit of impact. But still, that was a whole identity politics thing. So, you know, we saw the poor black girl flop with the Little Mermaid. We saw the poor brown girl flop with Snow White. So we got to flop a blonde, you know. We got to flop a blonde, blue-eyed girl, too. We got to flop her with Supergirl. I feel like it was done by design. How can it be that obvious that it's going to flop and they go through with it? Let's see here. Moana struggles. Toy Story 5 dominates the weekend, almost $1 billion. So people want the 90s slop. They don't want the 2000 slop. They don't want the Moana slop. They want 90s slop. Give us Toy Story 90s slop, please. All right, let's get a couple of things out of the way here before we go to our super chats. All right, so on the Tyler Robinson trial, on Friday, I'm going to play this video. This is the only video that I could find that I think is what they're talking about, but I cannot get confirmation, and obviously I wasn't there, and conflicting reports are coming out of the courtroom. Now, anybody that's listened to my show knows I've been saying this for months. I've been consistent about this for months. I've done my commentary. People know where I stand on it, and I'm waiting to see the video. I'm waiting to see the video, which they have to have, the surveillance video, just like they have the video of the guy getting off the roof. They have to have the video of the guy getting on the roof taking the shot. And I said, I want to wait until I see that before I move on. So apparently that video was presented in court on Friday. Now, it's worth mentioning, and this is adding to the confusion, in earlier testimony with the judge, it was said there is no video of anyone taking a shot. So that was on the court record, and that was what we all understood was the case until Friday. And then Friday, supposedly, they showed a video of Tyler taking the shot. Now, depending on who you're getting the information from, some people basically are presenting this that it is undoubtedly HD 4K zoomed in. You can see the sweat on Tyler's eye dripping as he's pulling the trigger. Like, undoubtedly, it's him. And then you have other eyewitnesses saying that it was the same security tape from before, just from the 2 minutes prior of him getting on the roof and taking the shot, which, of course, you don't know who that is. It's just a blob. It's just a black blob moving on a surveillance video. There's no identifying characteristics at all, other than can you basically prove that that is Tyler Robinson based off of all the other evidence? And that's going to be their case. That's going to be the case that they have to make. And that's the case they've been trying to piece together here. And the issue is going to be, can you convince people it's Tyler or not? Now, again, I don't think, whether you think Tyler took the shot or not, there's still things that are not going to make sense. There's still things that aren't going to make sense about this case, and I don't think they'll ever make sense. Now, maybe they can convince a jury behind a reasonable doubt anyway, but there's going to be things that just don't make sense, and people are always going to ask questions. And the one big one right now is, can you convince people that that is Tyler? And it seems like right now their strongest evidence is metadata that is just pinging his location. So there's going to be issues with the car. There's going to be issues with the backpack. There's going to be issues with the shirt. There's going to be issues with the limp. There's going to be all these other issues with the gun, you name it. So they're going to have to use the data because as far as I can tell, I've not seen a convincing image of Tyler on campus. Now, I'm not saying he wasn't there. I think he was there. I think that they have data that proves he was there. My issue is whether you think he took the shot or not. I don't believe he acted alone. I don't believe for a second he acted alone. And I don't know why anybody is trusting this Lance Twiggs character. He seems to be highly untrustworthy, to say the least. And I think he knows more than he's letting on here. Or maybe he's even, what if he's even misdirecting things? I don't know, but he's like the star witness, and that's going to be our case, is we're going to rely on him now, and I don't find him trustworthy. But regardless, I believe this is the video. Now, this is the video from beforehand of a guy getting on the roof and getting into the position and taking the shot. Now, if this is the video they showed in the courtroom,
where would you be located?
I'm going to kill the audio here. If this is the video that they're talking about, that they showed in the courtroom, that is the big convincing, this is Tyler. I mean, again, it shows exactly what we anticipated, that they had footage of somebody getting on the roof, going to the sniper's position and taking the shot. We always knew that video had to exist somewhere. And they're claiming that they saw that video and it's beyond a reasonable doubt Tyler. Now, if this is the video that they're talking about, how can anybody claim they know who that is? As I said, the only thing you can claim is that you have metadata that shows his movements and you can prove that that's him moving on the roof. There is nothing identifiable about these images that you can say if it's a boy, if it's a girl, if it's Bigfoot. But this is, as far as I can tell, I don't know. I wasn't there. There's conflicting reports. But it seems that this is the video they're talking about. It seems that this is the video that they're claiming is zoomed in, showing him taking the shot. What does this convince you of anything? Now, you might be able to convince people that this is a guy climbing on the roof and taking the shot. What you can convince people of after that, I'm not so sure. So if this is the video they showed in court, yikes. Guys, yikes. Now, if they have something better than this, that can change everything. If they have the video that some are describing is HD footage of Tyler doing it, then they'll have that video and people will see it, and then, okay, you can go from there. If this is the video that they're claiming proves that it's Tyler, if this is the video that they're saying is enhanced and shows him doing it, folks, then this looks even worse. This looks even worse than it did before. Because you can say, all right, we finally have the security footage of him getting on the roof, taking the shot that we knew was there. Obviously, we always knew it was there. But if you're arguing, if this is the video, I don't know. I wasn't there. There's conflicting reports. I can't get anything confirmed right now. It's all weird. If this is the video, then what are we arguing that this convinces anybody of? We already knew that somebody went on the roof. We already knew that. So I'm not really sure what this convinces any of. It doesn't convince me of anything. Everybody knew this footage existed. I don't know what this really changes. So unless there's another video we haven't seen, I'm a little confused. I'm a little perturbed at this, to claim that this proves anything, actually. Now, it's strange, though. It's like the biggest piece of evidence would be what they saw on Friday, and it's the one day they say, okay, never mind, the audience doesn't get to see anything or share anything. It's always going to be a problem here, guys. It's always going to be a problem. And what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks before the judge decides if the probable cause is legit or not? And it's crazy, the response here, isn't it? I mean, I feel like it's fair to assume that the judge has his concerns because he says, I need to take till September. That was the last we heard. The judge wants to take till September to decide. And of course, the prosecution and I know at least Erica Kirk, maybe the Kirk family, they're all pressuring the judge. They want to get this thing done immediately. They basically want this thing to start right now. And the judge is saying he needs time to review the probable cause. I know the judge is already concerned because so much of this evidence has gotten out to the public that he hasn't even decided whether or not it is probable cause or whether it's going to be in the final trial or not. But it is strange. The whole thing just keeps getting weirder to me. Forget about even the conspiracy theorists. Forget about the different conspiracies and thoughts that people have about this. I just mean, like, you've got one side saying one thing, and then you've got the other side saying something completely different. And it's like if there was this overwhelming open and shut case, I feel like there would already be some different movement here. I feel like there would be some different movement either from the defense trying to work a plea deal, which might be going on behind the scenes. And I would imagine if they have Tyler dead to rights here, then I would say he's going to want a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. But if they look at this, and I don't know, Tyler didn't speak. He didn't say anything. There's been conflicting reports as far as what's been admitted and what hasn't been. But to me, it's like if they don't take a plea deal, then this case can't be so open and shut. And if the judge needs 2 weeks or 2 months even, I don't know what day in September. He said he needed till September. If the judge is going to take multiple weeks to try to figure this thing out, then maybe it isn't as open and shut as it's being presented. I don't know. It's kind of how I feel about it right now. But you know, 3 things are supposed to matter. And I get it's emotional. I get the implications of this whole thing. Innocent till proven guilty. Burden of proof is on the state beyond a reasonable doubt. That's what this is supposed to be, folks. That's what this is supposed to be. And I think it hits different for somebody like me that's actually been involved in multiple rigged court cases. I think the interpretation of it is different for somebody that's actually been on the wrong side of rigged court cases, multiple rigged court cases and corrupt court cases as I have been. It's like when you have seen that, you realize how important it is. You realize how important innocent till proven guilty is. You realize how important burden of proof is on the state is. You realize how important beyond a reasonable doubt is. And you just have a newfound appreciation for that when you've been on the wrong side of a rigged, corrupt court, which many of the people that are covering the Tyler Robinson hearings, they've never been on the wrong side of a rigged court. I don't even know if they've ever been in court, quite frankly. So you start to appreciate that a little bit more when you've been there, and you know that, yeah, you know what? You need this process. You need it. And if they get you, they get you. And justice will be served. But innocent till proven guilty is a lot more valuable and a lot more important than I see people treating it that are covering this. All right, one last thing. Shout out to Solar Friend here. Kind of made the prediction. The GTA 6 transformation. We are going into Owen Report Vice, guys. We are going into Owen Report Vice for the rest of the summer. In case you haven't noticed with some of the changes here, Owen Report Vice is officially in session. Changing some of the aesthetics here. We're going to be doing some merchandise soon. I might even change what I wear even. I don't know. But we're going into that for the summer, and it fits. You know, it all fits, guys. It's all very fitting for the time. Okay, well, let's go into our super chats then as we finish out the show. Hitting the 6 o'clock hour, 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. I'm dying. I'm dying with no World Cup action today, I have to tell you. It's a struggle. It's a struggle, guys. All right. Into our super chats. Back on YouTube. Pine Nuts, terrible weekend. I got married and Lady G died. So 2 people died. No, we're kidding. Congratulations. Congrats. I hope Lady G brought sunscreen. All right. Barnes' credibility? I don't know. It's all right to disagree on stuff. It's all right to disagree on stuff. I stand with Robert Barnes. It's all right to disagree. Wifey, Bing cherries or Rainier cherries? Rainier cherries. Actually, yeah, I would go with those canned, what are the Marciano cherries or whatever they put in drinks, those Italian cherries. Those are kind of always my favorite, I have to say. By the way, guys, I think Wifey here tried to do a hair deal. Does anybody know about this? Can anybody get confirmation? Was there a hair transaction? Was it inspired? Tay-Tay, Ted Cruz PAC with Austin, Texas, Hill County UPS store rental mailbox address bought an anti-fishback spaces during World Cup. Yeah, I saw the anti-fishback ads on the World Cup. I did see that. Fishback is claiming he's ahead in the polls now. I don't know. I don't know how much I buy that. No, we have not seen the internet celebrity. We have not seen the social media impact campaign translate to a victory yet. I guess maybe you could say that with Trump, but I don't think we can count that. He was already name recognition, so it wasn't like he had to manifest it through social media. So Fishback would be the first if he can get it done. Why would Texas be so concerned with Florida? Well, I don't know about that. CNBC, Texas, and Tennessee, worst states to live. Florida not on the list. Yeah, who knows what led them to that conclusion? I don't know. Everybody keeps moving to Texas and Tennessee. I think Texas, Tennessee, and Florida were like 1, 2, 3 on where people are leaving New York and California and going. So I don't know. If you don't want to live in a red state, just say it. Most people do. You can't find the perpetrator if you haven't determined the cause of death. This is all Clown World trial. Why ask my mom for money when you can just take bank accounts? You can do both. Owen Jones Schroyer, if our politicians kissed the Black Rock in Mecca instead of the wall, maybe people would notice. Yeah, if they did that, what if they kissed the Great Wall of China? Yeah. There have been protests. Stop lying. What am I missing here? What am I lying about? Need a little context. Emperor Palpatine, if you believe we have traitors and foreign loyalists, you don't bitch at the people. You call for revolution or abolishment, as is our duty, is laid out in the Constitution, actually. When we have a corrupt government, it is our duty to overthrow said corrupt government. JBNG in San Diego. Trump ran as the most transparent president in history. He is now the most transparent liar in history. I'm so sick of him and his BS. My kids don't like him. The damage he has done is generational. I'm telling you, man. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how the Republican Party recovers from this. You know, these people in D.C. just live in la-la land, man. They live in la-la land. They're high off their own supply. Just because they get all the Trump hype and all the Trump action and everything that they're around it all day, they think that it translates. They think that it moves beyond the DC bubble. It doesn't. It's dead out here, guys. I mean, these people, you don't understand, guys. It's amazing. I mean, I guess I get it. They just don't have any friends, or they don't leave their political bubbles. I'm telling you, man, these are people that voted for Trump, man. They are so sick of him. They feel so betrayed by him. They won't vote for Republicans for multiple election cycles. That's how much damage. At this rate, Trump will end up being the greatest thing the Democrats could have ever hoped for. That's the truth. At this rate, Trump will be the greatest thing to ever happen to the Democrat Party, because he's about to give them multiple generational runs. And as long as the Republican gatekeepers continue to push younger right-wingers out of the conversation and out of the picture, they're just handing everything to the Democrats, which is the great irony, as they're sitting here bitching because you just won't vote for Republicans blindly, and they're bitching that they're going to give power to the Democrats, and it's them doing it. It's the greatest irony ever. John Franzen. Owen, you're back on YouTube. You answered my question. I assume you got censored for your hair or stash or both. Are they that offensive? Maybe to some. It must have been something else, since you are still sporting that malarkey. Malarkey, huh? That could be. Has anybody said malarkey on the show before? There we go. We'll take it, John. We'll take it. DZ, for all the maggots, Trump called Lindsey Graham a patriot. Yeah, well, Lindsey Graham is MAGA, so what do you expect? Lindsey Graham, Mark Levin, that's MAGA now. Whatever you did to piss off YouTube, they love you again. This show is YouTube featured. You're right. YouTube is the only platform where you can grow. I've been saying it. Look, my theory is still, they got us on a technicality. I went over that last week. I don't want to get into it today for the sake of time. They got us on a technicality, but I still think it's just mass reporting. I think there's people that want to see me censored. There's people that want to see me shut down. By the way, I don't think it's coming from the left anymore. Just saying. Used to deal with that from the left. I don't think this is coming from the left. I think it's coming from something else. I think they mass report every video I do. And eventually the algorithm is going to find something in some video and hit me with it. That's what I think is going on. I think somebody is trying to get my channel removed. They're mass reporting me every day. And eventually one of the videos that they reported got a hit from like 7 months ago. So we are trying to protest that. And I think it's working in our favor to this point. But that's what I've said. The only platform I can grow on right now is YouTube. There's nothing. There is no growth on X. You can't make any money on X. It's like, hey, whatever. It wasn't really ever the plan anyway, but there was an opportunity. There was a promise there. No, zero growth factor on X. Can't really monetize X. YouTube is the only place where I can grow and even monetize anything really right now to fund a show. So that's just the reality, which is crazy that that's the world we live in, but that's where we're at. Can I say Skeletor? He shouldn't be a sitting senator from that picture alone. Oh, Mitch McConnell. Yeah. And that's the good picture, apparently. That's what they give us. This country has become Goyim farm for Israel. Yes. Yes, yes. Sit down, dirty American. We're a war economy now. Well, not even. We don't even have a war economy. We just have a war, and we're just paying for it. We're just slaves for it. We're not benefiting at all. There's no benefit to the economy at all. We busy. We got little girls' schools to blow up. Damn it. Come on, everyone. Leave Owen's hair alone. He's just in Super Saiyan mode. That's it. That's what it is. Ken gets it. Ken always gets it. Anna X, stick a fork in us. We're cooked. You know, here's the thing, and I've always said this, and it's been true, but I have to wonder, you know, America, we've been through stuff. America's been through stuff before. We've been through economic issues, wars, you name it. America's been through a lot. For heritage Americans, your ancestors, been through a lot. The Schroyer family, been here since the 1600s, been through a lot. And America's always come out on the other side. This is different. I don't think we've ever dealt with something like this because it's a captured government. We have a fully captured and occupied government that doesn't even serve us anymore. It's literally captured and occupied. I don't think we've ever dealt with that before. So this is really a new thing that America is facing. We've dealt with different wars. We've dealt with different economic issues, identity issues. It's like we've dealt with this stuff before. But a captured and occupied government that no longer serves us, that's a new one, I think. And so I guess you got to wonder, can we find our way out of this? I'd say yes. I think we can. But we're going to go through it, man. I mean, it's going to be nasty. I don't care about Ro Khanna, but we got a major Israel first problem. Americans siding with Israel settlers, the same settlers that got rid of multiple Americans with zero charges. We would not accept that in any other country. Well, but that's exactly what I'm talking about, Captain. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And because our government is so occupied and our media is so occupied and captured, the people then become occupied and captured without even realizing it, because they don't even realize their government and media is occupied and captured. Trump is a Pino, not a POTUS. Okay, all right, there's a first one. You're dumb. Yeshua gives up. The meds in the files have unalived so many vets. Tough to get the context out of that. I think I get it, but I don't know. Roberto Gilvey, rest in P. Lindsey Graham, long live America and our Christian country. Should America be a Christian country only? Should America ban any other religions? Now, of course, you say this goes against the First Amendment, but it's funny because we seem to have no problem with the idea of banning Islam or Muslims. You know, big First Amendment activists, big First Amendment, they'll bang on the First Amendment all day long, but then they'll say ban Muslims, ban Islam. Okay. Well, should we ban other religions? Should we ban Jewish faith too? Should we just be a Christian nation, or how are we gonna work with that one? Just curious, just wondering what people would say about that. Palmetto Hawk, Big Pharma must be pressuring congressional members to permanently deny people sunlight with standard time and negatively affect their health. I like that theory. The donor class that owns our Congress want us sick and weak, so they want to keep us from the sun. Yeah. Love, live America, and down with the synagogue of Satan. Speaking of space, one should never Google search what the #1 outer space movie in 1992 was. I'm not gonna. Well, I'm gonna take your advice and not do it then. Panda, aloha, a woman in her early 30s here. Between the men having Peter Pan syndrome, I hear a lot of that from local women here. I'd never heard that one. Local women say all the men here have Peter Pan syndrome. It's probably true. Or people being too jaded from their parents' failed marriages. Oh, and if you were smart, well-traveled woman, it's hard. You know what my big issue is? You know, I don't talk about the personal stuff. I don't like getting into my personal life. Maybe we should start opening up more on the show. Would you guys like that? Should I start opening up more? Because I don't do personal life stuff. I'm one of the few people that I don't, people love to kind of clip farm and content farm off of personal beefs and personal issues and family stuff. I'm like the opposite. I'm like, I hate doing that stuff. Like, why do you care? What do you care about my love life? What do you care about my personal life? You shouldn't. But I've been toying with it. I've been toying with it a little bit. And you know what I realized? Because you know a lot less about my personal life. People know less about my personal life than they think. And I'll just leave it at that. They make assumptions, but they usually get them wrong. You know what I realized? I'm not married. I've never been married. And, I'm getting older. I would like to get married, have a bunch of kids. And you know what I realized? You know what I realized, guys, about myself? It's not necessarily that I'm afraid of commitment. There's a level of that. I'm a little afraid of commitment. I don't know. Marriage is like, is it really for me? The contract, I don't know. Kind of just want to have kids. That's really it. You know what it is, though? You know what I realize it is, guys? I don't want to live with anybody. That's my biggest problem. It's like, even if I found the perfect woman, I don't think I could live with anybody. I don't want to live with anybody. I like my solitude. I like my fortress of solitude. It's like, I wouldn't even mind a bunch of kids running around and just being a dad with a bunch of kids. I just don't want anybody. It's like, I don't want to live with anybody. I just want to live alone. That's my problem. I've realized that recently. I've realized that. I don't mind marriage. I don't know. Maybe I could be a good husband. I don't know. I don't want to live with anybody. Can anybody relate to that? That's why I'm not married. So I don't want to live with anybody. I've tried it. It didn't work. Well-traveled. What's your body count? That's directed at the other person. What gunshot? You tell me. I don't know. I played the video. It's just a bunch of blurbs and blobs and moving shapes. I don't know what it is. They're claiming that's the shot. They're claiming it. I don't know. Is Milana abstinent or does she have a gold ditto? Well, where does she live? Doesn't she live in New York most of the time? So she doesn't even live with Trump. You know, the rumors are Trump and what's that blonde's name that runs his social media? I don't know. You know what they say. The lion may lose his teeth, but he never loses his hunger. I don't know what Melania is doing, though. No idea. I don't see her with Trump very often. They were together over the holiday, I think. Ezzo, hey, Owen, Gareth Ike is looking for guests on his show, Bring the Fire. And I mentioned you, as you two could have a scorching chat together. Hope it happens. Love you, brother. I could reach out to Gareth. I believe we both follow one another. If he wants to reach out, or I can reach out to him, we can make that happen. I'm just seeing if you're in my notifications. I'm not seeing you here. Gareth Ike, I would do that. That'd be good. Yep, and jury duty is important too. Well, it's going to come down to a jury of your peers. But then you get into the interpretation of, well, what is your peer? You know, so you could be in a jury and there's none of your peers there. You know, some people complain about that with identity politics all the time. But, you know, it's like, yeah, what is a peer? If the jury of your peers are a bunch of people from India, are those really peers? 118 degrees in Montana. I'm afraid of the sun. We had a big switch here. It was like 100. It was like 115. I don't know if that's what it actually got to, the official temperature. My car had 115. That was on Thursday, I think. And then Saturday, a big rainstorm came through, and it got down into the 70s. I hated it. Texas is actually too cold for me, I've realized. Texas has too much rain and cold. I need to live in a desert or like on a beach somewhere. King of Adal, standard time is best in alignment with the sun. Well, that's just like your opinion, man. I just want the most sun. That's what I want. Sun max. Adequate slop down today. Thank you, Dre Bay. It's decent slop today. You got to slop it up. I've had femboys smarter than Lady G. Space friend. You know, I've got some of that in the stack because there's a couple of these viral stories. I never got to them. There's this content creator that is a fake dude, or well, it's a dude pretending to be a woman and fakes it, goes to these bars and films content, tricking guys to hooking up with them. Maybe I could bring this up tomorrow. But the debate is that a crime? Is that some form of a sexual assault? If you pretend to be a woman and you trick a guy to, getting physical with you at the bar or something, is that a sexual assault thing? And I think it's questionable. Because part of me says, yeah. Part of me says, absolutely. If you're misrepresenting who and what you are to lure somebody in to a sexual act, yeah, I'd say that's borderline kind of assault there. But then the other part of me says, if you're going out and making out or hooking up with a stranger in public and you don't even take the time to make sure you know who that person is, that's kind of on you. Kind of on you. That's like a special show. That's like a show where I take that and then take calls on it for like half an hour and we just debate the slop. Fonz Carrillo, love the show. Hey, thanks, Fonz. We love you, Fonz. Maybe too much, Fonz. Maybe too much. Maybe we think about you, Fonz. George Belmont. Who the F gave Cato Kalin a YouTube channel? Well, I don't know who that is, but I'm guessing that's me. So I did. YouTube did. I don't know. Didn't word that right. Standard time is aligned with the solar cycle. Daylight savings is an innovation. Standard time is nature's time. I just want more sun. I'm a sun maxer. And so I just want the clock to help me get the most sun out of the day, which means it should really never set before 6 p.m. That would be my policy. Just move the clocks and make sure it never sets before 6 p.m. So 9 p.m. in the summer, 6 p.m. in the winter. That'd be the window I'm going for. Lady G got topped by my ex. Is that one of the ones making these claims? Rush was always an optimist, always. That's true, Sam. That's true. I'm just a realist more than anything. I mean, I am an optimist, generally speaking, but I'm a realist. And sometimes realism cannot be optimism. Sometimes those things cannot work together. Right-wing Jays used to blow up Muslim countries, then left-wing Jays bring refugees into our cities. That's exactly what's been happening here for the last 2 decades. Undoubtedly. And Charlie Kirk even said that, by the way. Mike Bertolet. As a South Carolinian, Lindsey did not stand for what we want as a majority down here. Ironically, he visits Ukraine and passes. He knew he could never beat Trump and jumped on the Zionist bandwagon. It should be Mark Lynch running for this special election. I hope he does. I hope he wins. AJ had to let you go for speaking the truth. Don't ever stop. We love and support you. Thank you, Robert. Thank you. Feel you, bro. Married twice, now peacefully single. But I'm getting old, man. I'm getting old. The good thing is I could have kids as long as I'm alive. But, you know, the older you get, it gets a little harder on the old bod. Israel Populum. What did the MAGA Latina blackmail you with? I know you tried to slide in them DMs, Super Saiyan. Owen is a dog. Look, guys, I cannot tell you. I will tell you that I like to keep my private life private. I do that intentionally. I chose this life. I chose to be a controversial public figure and, you know, do things that can bring heat on me. My family did not. Whatever involvement my family wants to have in my life, my public life, my politics, that is all voluntarily on them. And so I just keep my private life private. That's how I'm always going to be. Maybe we'll start opening up with some things about me personally, but I'm always going to keep the people around me protected. They don't make the decisions I make. My family did not make the decisions I made to be public and deal with all the heat. And I'm not going to force them into that. So basically it was a threat to, you know, expose my private life. That's basically what it was. She got some information about my private life and, you know, essentially threatened to expose part of my private life that I don't want to be out there. And if you knew the details of it, you'd be even more sickened by it. And in fact, you know, she says she's a monster and she might do some monstrous things. But I didn't think she'd be that bad, honestly. I didn't think she'd be that bad. I didn't think she'd actually go through with it. And she didn't. She hasn't yet. I guess she could. But, you know, when she did it, I basically, you know, I just said, really? Is that what you're going to do? Okay. And she didn't do it. So maybe she's not as big of a monster as she portrays herself. At least not yet. But that's really it. Just exposing something about my private life that I like to keep private. Are you just going to skip over the Conor McGregor slop? Ha! Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I was gonna, yeah. It's so funny. I got a text, you know, I'd like to do low stakes sports gambling. And my buddy sent me a text. What was that, Saturday night? He said, who you got? And he was talking about the McGregor fight. And I don't follow UFC. Honestly, guys, look, respect to the UFC guys. They're all cool guys. I love that community. They seem to be some of the most awakened, smart, cool patriots out there. I've never really been into the UFC. There's something about half-naked men rubbing and grappling and grabbing and rolling around together with bodily fluids that just I don't like. Okay? I'm not a big fan of that. So I don't really follow it. I don't really watch it. Not a fan. So they sent me it. They said, who you got? I thought they were talking about soccer. I said, I got Argentina to win. I got Argentina to advance. I got them to win by more than a goal and a half, and I got the over 2.5. He's like, no, I'm talking about the fight. And I said, oh, McGregor. I said, well, I don't know how anybody could pick McGregor unless it's rigged. He's like 50 years old, so I don't see how McGregor wins this thing. And then I looked at the line. He was the biggest underdog on the card. Anyway, so he blows his knee, like, immediately. And people are looking into it now, and it looks like there might have been some prior knowledge. McGregor, of course, is denying that. He's saying this thing came out of nowhere. Looks like there could be evidence to the contrary. And the strangest thing is, did you see the video where Mel Gibson says something controversial? You can tell it's controversial. He says something controversial to Vince Vaughn, and you can see Vince is like, dude, why'd you just say that on camera? Like, you can see Vince's response. Whatever Mel told him, and it was right there with a camera in their face. It's like, that's what they do with these events. They put these cameras right in front of these. It's like, folks, you have to understand, this is like, we're talking like 12 inches from their face. I mean, it's obnoxious. So they got the camera right there in their face, and Mel Gibson leans over to Vince Vaughn, and it looks like he says his knee is messed up. And Vince says, oh, okay. And then Mel turns around and goes, you'll see, and looks at the camera. That's what it looks like he says. I don't know. You don't know what he says. But he says something controversial, and then there looks to be some other evidence that maybe, they knew the leg was bad going in. So that was just a total flop. And, UFC, they've got some problems. They've had people throw fights, and I'm not hearing too much about it. They probably just want to bury that because it was so bad. Grinder flag at half staff today. Who you got for the World Cup? So when the World Cup opened, guys, I placed bets on 4 teams to win it all. I picked 4 teams to win it all at the start of the World Cup. I picked Argentina. I picked France. I picked Spain. They're still in it. I also picked the United States of America. Couldn't help it. Obviously, they're out. So I've still got 3 teams alive. I think I still like Spain as the favorite, but they have not gotten there yet. Spain has not gotten to the level that France is at. France is playing at a higher level right now. I don't have any action for tomorrow yet. I'm going to wait, but I have not seen enough from Spain that makes me think they can beat France, even though that was the team that I actually thought would win. I placed a couple of bets. I thought Spain would win. I have not seen Spain get to that level yet where they can beat France. So I would say right now I would anticipate France. I would say, except the fact that it looks like they're trying to rig it for Argentina, and that's kind of the big controversy, is it looks like they're trying to rig it for Argentina. Aside from that, England has played a pretty inspired tournament. They have not been that impressive. They haven't been that consistent, but they've been passionate and they've been inspired. There's something driving them. And I just feel like Argentina keeps getting bailed out at the end of these games, and I don't think that works against England. I don't see Argentina getting bailed out in the 80th minute against England. I just don't see that happening. So I'm gonna have to wait and look at these games tomorrow. We'll give you something tomorrow. I'd say right now my favorite would have to be France. Unless Spain can get to that next level, and it would probably take a victory against France to do it. Unless Spain can get there, I don't think they can beat France right now. I feel like those are the 2 better teams, though. I feel like whoever wins that game between Spain and France, I think wins it all. I've not seen enough from England. I've not seen enough from Argentina. But I don't know. I guess France would be the favorite right now. Is Alex's wife an escort? I don't know. Not a fan after the Tyson Paul joke fix. Well, most of these, I feel like most of these fights are all fake. You know, I feel like people just do it for money and views now. I'm not sure how many of these things are even real fights anymore. Pick Wiki. Having children at a late age in life is unfair to the child. I don't know about that. I think they'd still rather exist. Israel Populum. MB for bringing up the blackmail. I assumed it was nothing serious. I thought you called her bluff like Homelander. You got the look. Thank you. Guess you could say that. The sun is up for its time, no matter the clock. Just wake up earlier. Yes, but there's a world out there. Okay? There's a world out there. Thoughts on AJ versus Sneeko. Sneeko cooked him. You should do long-form content like documentaries. Just my opinion. I didn't think too much about it. I covered that last week. I didn't think too much about it. Look, I think it was mostly clip farming. I think that people try to just get people on that are relevant, get people on that are trending, and that's really all it is. It's just, oh, this is trending, get them on the show, and then try to clip farm with viral content during it. I don't think there was really any drive other than that. I think that happens a lot. The one thing I liked is afterwards, they both said, hey, good debate. So I like it. Come together, have the debate, get into a debate, whatever, and then shake hands afterwards. That's what I liked. Mitch Connor missed the show today, supporting the troops. All right. Well, you can always go back and watch the archive. In case you didn't know, and that does it for today's show, you can always listen to the archive. iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Spotify has the Owen Report audio archives. Remember, folks, we're back on YouTube. Give the Owen Report a follow on YouTube. Rumble.com/Owen, X Owen Schroyer 1776. You know, I teased that DJ segment, and I'm still considering it. We have some other obstacles we have to consider before we do that, because we don't want to risk the larger things, if you catch my drift. We don't want to risk the larger things, but we still want to continue to expand and do different content and do things that nobody else in the media can do, but we got to be smart when we do it. That's the thing. That does it for today. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to everybody for the super chats. We'll take a 20-and-a-half-hour break, and we'll do it all again tomorrow. God bless and Godspeed.